Tuesday, August the 10th. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Seeger. Ress.
Here.
McGinnis.
Here.
Willie.
Here.
DeHerney.
Here.
Barcelona.
Here.
Fitzmaurice.
Here.
Crawford.
Here.
Drum.
Here.
Randolph.
Here.
Truxilla.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Public announcements, please silence all phones and electronic devices. If you disagree with a decision the commission makes, you have the right to appeal it to the council, and there are appeal cards over on the railing to the right. Speaker cards, if you wish to speak, there are speaker cards there as well, and turn it into staff and they will get it up here to us. Public speaking, 10 minutes each side and 5 minutes for rebuttal. After the case is heard, we ask you to please leave the building so that we have other people that are trying to get in, they can. At next month's zoning meeting, we have 5 cases from Allstate Financial. And just so everybody knows, there will be a 30-minute speaking and a 10-minute rebuttal on all 5 cases. We'll hear them together, and we'll have the rebuttal together, but we will vote on them separately. And we ask that there be no clapping or booing or anything like that. Please rise for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Once again, we come to you to say thank you. We thank you and appreciate every moment that you granted to us during the day. We thank you for this moment in time, and we thank you for your grace and mercy. Lord, we ask that you continue to bless this commission, bless our parish government, our leaders, our employees, and Lord, more so, our citizens and taxpayers. And gracious Father, we ask that you continue to bless our families and be with us and protect our bodies as we go through this COVID-19 experience. Bless those who's fallen victim, and bless us, Lord, that continue to try to protect ourselves and others. It's in your holy name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. In your packet, you had a copy of the July 13th meeting minutes. Are there any corrections or that have to be made? Commissioner Randolph.
Approve the minutes.
Motion by Commissioner Randolph to approve. Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. Please vote.
Motion to approve minutes carries.
Thank you. Staff, do we have any requests for postponement?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a request from staff. Item number 10 on the agenda, which is a text change 2021-2486. We'd like to request to postpone.
Okay. Anything else?
No, sir.
And I'm looking at my draft copy. The TRC 2107-001 has been withdrawn.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
may I ask a question to legal? Would 1 month be sufficient, Mrs. Gouvion?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, on the item 10 is a text change, 2021-2486, text change, an ordinance to amend the St. Tammany Code of Ordinance, Chapter 125-88, to incorporate updated and new criteria and standards for design and location of drainage ditches, channels, canals, and similar drainage features, including subsurface drainage. Do I hear a motion to postpone for 1 month?
Motion to postpone for 1 month.
Motion to postpone for 1 month. Commissioner Crawford.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Crawford. Please vote.
Motion to postpone carries.
Thank you. All right, revocation review, we have none. Minor subdivision review. Item 2 is 2021-2404-MSP, a minor subdivision of lots 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 into lots 1A, 2, 3, 4A, and 5. Owner's representative is Scariano Holdings LLC, Joseph H. and Ashley H. Owen, Dennis G. and Melanie W. Schultz. Parish Council District Representative, Honorable Riker Toledano. General location, the parcels located on the northeast corner of 6th Avenue and Soul Drive, Covington, Ward 3, District 5. Staff?
The applicant is requesting to create 5 lots. The minor subdivision request requires a public hearing due to lots 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 were previously part of a minor subdivision approved in February 2018. Lots 1A, 2, 3, 4A, and 5A do not meet the minimum lot size of 1 acre. And Lot A1 is proposed to be accessed as a flag lot, requiring a waiver of the regulation from the Planning Commission since flag lots are only permitted above the urban growth boundary lines. The request shall be subject to the above and also the 4 below, the 4 comments listed on the staff report.
Okay, thank you. All right, is someone here representing the owners? Yes, sir. Please state your name and address.
Jason Van Halen, 68420 Bodie Avenue.
Okay,
In a nutshell, I think we had a survey error in the first time around, and so the staff, myself, and the surveyor worked hard to get something that everybody was satisfied as far as the new layout. So this is what we came up with. I think Helen's happy with it. Everybody's happy with it. So that we're asking for approval.
okay. I've got a couple of cards here that folks would like to speak, so
Sure.
anyone else wish to speak in favor of this? Seeing no one, we'll go to against Toby Jones.
Hey, my name is Toby Jones. I live at 21132 Muir Drive, Abita Springs, 70420. We were, a few of us were against this when they first flagged in 2018, when they first divided the lots up to make smaller lots. We were assured that by Mr. Toledano that once the properties turned north onto Soul, that they would stay closer to the acre-sized lots. The drainage for this property has been the same in the last 20 years that I've been here. So I don't understand why they didn't realize that they couldn't put a house on that one, that they want to turn into 1A. The flag lot and of 1A and the 5A are the 2 lots that concern me.
Okay,
I'm afraid that it's going to bring down the square footage price that houses in the area. This area is not at a loss for property to build houses. I mean, I bought 2.29 acres not 8 months ago, so the property's out there to buy. So we're against
okay,
having them built.
all right. Helen, do you have any comment?
Well, if you take a look at your packet, you can see the originally approved minor subdivision, which showed 4 lots along 6th Avenue that were going to be approximately, between 8,800 square feet and 10,000, and then a large 40,000 square foot. The revised plan shows that, there are 2 existing houses the corner lot will remain the same at 10,678. But then instead of having 4 parcels that will be 8,800 square feet, then you'll have a larger one in the back that will be 23,000 square feet, and the other one will be 21,000 square feet. In the end, you end up with 5 parcels of land, just like it was originally approved, but 2 of the 5 parcels will be much larger than originally proposed.
Okay,
And the 5A is considerably smaller than the acre-sized lots that continue up. So it's now what, roughly a half acre? At 21,000?
A little less, yeah.
Thank you.
all right, I have another card on Herb Ivins.
Hello, folks. My name's Herbert Ivins. I live at 70298 Fuchsia Street. And just like the prior speaker said, these lots were supposed to be 1 acre at least. I live on 2 acres, right at 2 acres. And I just feel that it's going to take away from the way things look. When you start putting all of these houses in close together, all of the trees come down. It reduces green space. Whereas if you have larger 1 or 2 acre lots, you have a lot more trees. Another issue is the traffic in this area. On Fuchsia Street cuts through all the way through Hellenberg to 190 Service Road. It's literally a drag strip in the afternoon through there. It's going to put more houses in there. It's going to add to that. Again, here's drainage. We got smaller lots, more runoff. Any rainy day, they got the water on the street signs out in front of our house. And this, as well as other reasons, like I was talking about, the loss of the green space. And that's about all I got to add to it. We want to see the lots stay like what everything else is around there, 1 and 2 acres. We like the way that looks.
Okay.
We're not against building. We just don't want to see these smaller house subdivisions. What, we got 60 or 75 foot wide lots in here? That's too small.
Okay,
As far as-
all right,
All right?
thank you. Mr. Jones, would you like to, we'll go to rebuttal. I don't see anyone else. I don't have any cards for anyone else. If you want
I'd like to speak. I didn't get to fill out the card. I just walked in.
to, yeah, state your name and address. And get a card and fill it out.
I'm filling one out now. Thank you.
Okay,
My name's Philip Fasulo. I live at 20577 Soul Drive in Covington. I actually own a property right next door to this. And this is going to very negatively impact my property value because instead of having 1 lot next door to me, now I'm going to have 2. And again, the zoning in this area was supposed to be 1 acre each. We fought this when they originally wanted to divide these up. Now they're dividing them up even more. I mean, where does it end? So, Councilman Toledano tried to work with us to work on the drainage, and we haven't seen any real improvement since then. So, you know, what are we getting out of this? Besides more houses and worse drainage.
okay,
And that's all I have to say.
all right, thank you. All right, Mr. Jones, I think we got everybody now.
Well, I just want to start by saying that I did work with Mr. Phillip when we did this the first time, and we went into this, we went through the entire process. The parish approved it like it was. Come to find out there was an error by the surveyor. I'm not trying to the zoning's in place for this. And I'm not trying to, this is the best arrangement we came up where I could basically keep 5 lots and we can correct the error.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, any of those that spoke against, do you wish to rebut anything? If you do, come forward. I'm not seeing anyone, so I'm gonna close it to the public, and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner McInnes.
Yes, I'd like to speak to the applicant.
Yes, ma'am.
So the error, was it that the previous lot 1 is not as wide as it was thought? There's like a 20-foot difference?
There was, yes, ma'am. And so once you take that away, it's not buildable.
And what about the drainage servitude? I don't see that on the original. Was that?
We
is
offered that
new?
up as, you know, with it, that was something they asked us to give them. So that's what we did.
Could you not make that, that 54.84 foot flagged lot access more narrow to make lots 2, 3, and 4 wider?
Well, 2 and 3 have houses on them already. The
Yeah,
parish,
but you could make the lot wider.
you mean the lots that the houses are sitting on? They
Yeah,
already
give them a
have,
bigger yard.
well, they already have fences up and
Oh, okay,
they're already, you know, established.
all right.
Like I said, the parish approved it and there was 2 building permits issued.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay, Commissioner Barcelona.
For staff, what does the current zoning allow in terms of density? What's the maximum density
It's
allowed?
A4A, 6 lots per acre.
Okay, so the subdivision conforms to the current zoning in that area, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's it, thank you.
Commissioner Willie.
Yeah, question for staff as well. What size is the parcel on the east side of Lot 5? 'Cause when I look at this picture, it looks like Lot 5 is used as a buffer between the small lots and whatever else is continuing on in that area.
I don't know, you could probably ask the property owner. It may be over 1 acre. I don't know exactly what the lot size is.
Does anybody in the audience know what on the east side of Lot
I
5
think
is?
are you referring to the one that
The
is close
area,
to
yeah.
the north arrow?
I guess it's to the northeast side of Lot 5.
Yeah, the lot that's right next to the north arrow?
Well, I don't have a general map. Yes, the map
Okay.
you're looking
Well,
at, yes.
I think the gentleman who just spoke last could probably confirm that.
How big is your lot, Phil, next to it?
It's 175 by 325.
How big?
175 by 325.
So it's bigger than an acre. Yeah. So it looked like to me Lot 5 was created as a buffer between small lots and larger lots. That's what it looks like to me. That's all. Thanks.
Okay. No one else in the queue. We need to have a motion on this.
We'll move for denial.
Commissioner Willie makes a motion to deny. Do I have a second? Commissioner Crawford.
I'll second the motion.
Second by Commissioner Crawford. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion to deny carries.
Thank you. All right, we move to item 3, which is 2021-2472 -MSP, minor subdivision of 52.21 acres into parcels A and B. Owner and representative Decatur Enterprises Incorporated, Parish Council District Representative, the Honorable Martha Casabon. General location, a parcel located on the north side of US Highway 190 and at the end of Pamela Drive in Covington, Ward 3, District 3. Staff?
The applicant is requesting to create 2 parcels from a 52.21 acre parcel. The minor subdivision request requires a public hearing due to parcel A is proposed to be created as a flag lot, requiring a waiver from the regulation by the Planning Commission since flag lots are only permitted above the urban growth boundary line. Parcel B does not meet the minimum lot width of 300 feet required under the A1 suburban zoning district along Highway 190, requiring a waiver from the Planning Commission. The name of the access to Parcel A and Parcel B shall be granted approval by the Planning Commission, and the parent property to be subdivided as a total of more than 25 acres in size, and only Parcel A consisting of 10.5 acre has been surveyed, requiring a waiver of the regulation by the Planning Commission, since the site is located south of the urban growth boundary line. The subject request shall be subject to the above comments, as well as item 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Okay. Someone here representing Decatur Enterprises? Good evening.
Vaughn Simony, 205 Stella Street, Metairie, Louisiana, representing Decatur Enterprises.
Okay, I need a card from you whenever you get finished.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
The reason that we're asking for the minor subdivision is because the entire parcel is approximately 123 acres, and there's an adjacent property owner who wants to purchase approximately 10 acres. And in order to effectuate that, we needed to file for the minor subdivision, and that's why we're here tonight.
Okay. All right. Anyone else here wish to speak in favor on this item? Anyone wish to speak against? I will close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Willie. Motion by Commissioner Willie to approve. Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 4, 2021-2492-MSP, a minor subdivision of 6.12 acres and 16.225 acres into parcels A, B, C, and D. Owner and representative, 3W Mandeville LLC and BB Mini Storage LLC. Parish Council District Representative, Honorable Riker Toledano. General location, the parcel are located on the east side of Louisiana Highway 59, south of I-12, Mandeville, Ward 4, District 5. Staff?
I just distributed a revised staff report just before the meeting, and also a drawing in regards to this staff report. The applicant is requesting to create 4 parcels from a 6.12 acre parcel and a 16.22 acre parcel. The minor subdivision request require a public hearing due to parcel A is proposed to be accessed from a private cross-access servitude through parcel B from Highway 59. Parcel A and C are proposed to be accessed from an existing private drive requiring approval by the Planning Commission. The original parent property before the creation of the 6.12 acre parcel and a 16.22 acre parcel total more than 25 acres in size. Only parcels A, B, and C, consisting of 6.12 acres, have been surveyed, requiring a waiver of the regulation by the Planning Commission, since the site is located south of the urban growth boundary line. And also requesting a waiver to construct the private drive and the required drainage prior to building permit being issued instead of prior to plat being recorded. So the request shall be subject to the comments that I just read, and also items 1 to 8.
Okay. Thank you. Someone here representing?
Yes, sir. Mike
evening.
Soche, Gulf States Real Estate. Also have here tonight our site engineers, Paul Carroll with T. Baker Smith Engineers, and the property owner, the major property owner of whom we're buying this property from, Regan Kane. I did pass out a few drawings for this project. As you can see, this is a fairly odd piece of property, but it meets our client's criteria, being near the interstate with easy accessibility to Highway 59 and the interstate, this being an emergency care facility. So this whole property is accessed through a private drive system, which you can see there. We are proposing to build this facility. Obviously, we cannot access the new facility until we build the driveway. There is some excess land that we are creating a separate lot. It will likely be used for some type of small ancillary medical use, and that's why we're asking that we be allowed to go ahead and re-subdivide the property. We will not require any building permits or certificate of occupancy on the smaller lot until such time as the first project is constructed, which is the primary project. So we're here to answer any questions you may have. We are well aware of the staff comments, the requirements regarding engineering of the private drive. This particular application has been co-signed by our neighbors, B&B Mini Storage.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Soche. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor on this project? Anyone wish to speak against? I'll close it to the public, bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
Motion to approve
Motion by Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
with waivers.
To approve. Commissioner Truxillo.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Truxillo. Commissioner Bress.
Yeah, question for staff. I thought at one time, there was a major road plan that envisioned a service road. This is I-12 right above this development. Is there still room, and is that still in the works potentially, that there would be a service road there?
The right-of-way still
Exists? So we're not messing that up at all? Okay. And the entrance to this hospital, this Chateau Fleury, is that a new road, or is that the Bennett Brothers access road coming into their development?
The existing road.
Okay, so that comes out right below the gas station there.
Correct. We also have emergency access at the traffic signal through the Kangaroo gas station for emergency vehicles only.
Oh, you do?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so that's at the light right there. There's no doubt that another emergency room in the area, probably, especially today. I agree with the recommendations. Thank
Okay.
you.
Patrick, your motion included waivers? Okay. All right. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion to approve carries.
Thank you. Have a good evening, sir. Item 5, 2021-2493-MSP, a minor subdivision of lots 1A1-A1 and 1A2 into lots 1A1-A1A and 1A2A. Owner representative is N59 Ventures LLC, Michael Soche, and 2003 Realty Company LLC, Richard Muller III. Parish Council District Representative, Honorable Riker Toledano. General location, the parcels are located on the east side of Louisiana 59 and on the north side of East Coop Drive, Mandeville, Ward 4, District 5. Staff?
The applicant is requesting to create 2 lots. The minor subdivision request requires a public hearing due to Lot 1A1-A1 and 1A2 were previously part of a minor subdivision approved by the Planning Commission in August 2015. Lot 1A-2 does not meet the minimum lot size of the 1 acre required under the minor subdivision regulations and requiring a waiver from the Planning Commission.
Thank you. Mr. Soche.
I don't know how I was so lucky to get back-to-back on the agenda, but thank you, Helen. This project is also located very near here, just across the street. Domino's bought the initial half-acre tract several years ago, always had plans to vacate the Domino's location inside the Small Kangaroo gas station next to the project on the south side of the interstate. That time has come. COVID has come. Domino's has now reworked their facility to allow for drive pickup, takeout, and dine-in. So all of these smaller facilities are trying to allow the public total access to getting their particular product. That building got a little bit larger. They also, because of construction costs, asked us to look into the possibility of putting a small suite next door to take that building and make it a little larger and decrease the cost per square foot. I don't know how much y'all are into cost of construction. It has skyrocketed in the last year. So we are actually taking a half-acre lot, making it larger to a 0.75 acre lot, increasing its frontage by 40 feet, and just accommodating our clients' needs and the public needs.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sochay. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor on this item? Anyone wish to speak against? Seeing no one, I'll close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
Motion to approve with the waiver.
Motion to approve with the waivers, Commissioner Randolph.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Randolph. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion to approve with waivers carries.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Have a great evening.
All right, item 6, 2021-2495-MSP, a minor subdivision of parcel 3A into parcels 3A1, 3A2, 3A3, 3A4, 3A5. Owner and representative is Fitzjackal LLC, Clark P. Fitzhugh. Parish Council District Representative, Honorable David Fitzgerald. General location, the parcel located on the north side of Johnson Road and on the east side of Louisiana Highway 437, Covington, Ward 3, District 2. Staff?
The applicant is requesting to create 5 parcels from parcel 3A. The minor subdivision request requires a public hearing due to parcel 3A was previously part of a minor subdivision approved by the Planning Commission in April 2021. Parcel 3A-3 does not meet the minimum lot width of 300 feet required under A1 suburban zoning along Highway 437 and requiring a waiver from the Planning Commission. I'd like to bring your attention to basically item number 2 here, where the request is submitted here for a waiver of the minimum lot width for parcel 3A-3. And maybe as a comment here, number 2 is if this access would be removed, then we would only have 2 lots, 3A-1 and 3A-2, having a driveway on Highway 437 definitely would no longer need to have this waiver request, and maybe also reduce the number of driveway along 437.
Okay. Thank you. Is someone here representing? Good evening. Please state your name and address.
Good evening. Thank you, Chairman. My name is Park McHenry. I'm with the McHenry Company. I represent the ownership of the property. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor? Anyone wish to speak against? I'll close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Rest.
I have a question of the petitioner. So the question, that Helen asked the question, is why you need basically that 124 feet on 437 when you could run the property line on that 3A2 south side straight through and get your access off of Johnson Road instead of off of 435. Is there a reason you need that 124 feet?
Yes, sir. The thinking behind that is the parcel in question is I think it's about a 25 acre parcel of land, fronts both on Johnson and on Lee Road. And there's a drainage section that comes through the middle of the property. It's a slough. If you pull up to Johnson, it's actually quite pretty, but it's a cypress swamp, and it pretty much fronts on Johnson. There's a section just east of that little bog right there where I think you could potentially develop a driveway and ultimately a home site, but I don't know that that's certain. And the same goes for the frontage on Lee Road, which is the probably the higher and drier section. So I guess our projection is that it would probably be most suitable for a home site north of that slough, which is why we've requested the driveway access on 437.
Yeah, otherwise to access the property all the way through, you'd have to build through probably a wetlands area. or
Yeah, I mean,
whatever.
it's really pretty, but the way I envision it, it's probably the least marketable property of the 5 lots that we're creating. There's already active interest in the lots on Johnson, and then I think the parcels 1 and 2 on the north side that front Lee just north of the property in question are separately and individually marketable. We envision the pricing and the ultimate play on the big piece to probably sell to a homeowner that's going to buy it at a discount because of the wetlands areas. And I do think that the highest and driest portions are probably on that north side of the property. So it's probable. I mean, I can't predict it, but we feel like the probable outcome there would be that somebody would build on that north side of the property, leaving the rest of it in effective conservation and recreation.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
I'll make a motion to approve with the waiver.
Motion by Commissioner Fitzmaurice to approve with the waiver. Commissioner Randolph.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Randolph. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion to approve with waiver carries.
Thank you. Item 7, 2021-2496-MSP, a minor subdivision of 1.480 acres and 3.711 acres into parcels A, B, and C. Owner and representative, Robert Hicks. Parish Council District Representative, Honorable Marty Dean. General location, the parcels are located on the north side of Brewster Road, east of Perilou Road, Madisonville, Ward 1, District 1. Staff?
The applicant is requesting to create 3 parcels from a 1.48 acre parcel and a 3.711 acre parcel. The minor subdivision request requires a public hearing due to parcel A is proposed to be created as a flag lot, requiring a waiver of the regulation by the Planning Commission since flag lots are only permitted above the urban growth boundary line. And also parcel B is proposed to be created as a flag lot, requiring a waiver of the regulation by the Planning Commission since flag lot are only permitted above the urban growth boundary line. And the request shall be subject to the comments I just stated, as well as item number 1.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. Christopher Merle, I'm speaking on behalf of Robert Hicks. What we'd like to do is it's family property. It's been in the family for over 80 years. My wife grew up on the property, and what we'd like to do is build on there. In order to do that, it requires at least 1 acre. And so we are requesting the subdivision, and we would like to build on parcel B, the 1.5. And if you notice to the right, we would have access from Brewster, our own access. And then parcel C would still be connected to Brewster. And then also the existing servitude of passage or driveway would still be able to connect the back parcel, which would in turn go from the 1.4 to the 2.69 acres.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor on this item? Anyone wish to speak against? We'll close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Rest.
Yes, for the petitioner. Is there any reason you don't want to use the existing road that goes back to the house that's presently back there instead of making it into a flag lot?
We would have liked to, but that was part of what we did. We were under the impression we were not allowed to use the existing servitude of passage since we were subdividing, and the front lot would remain still under Robert, and then parcel B would now become ours. And so you would have to use the existing servitude of passage, and then it would go up against our property to bypass it to get back to the last lot. If we could use the existing, that would be outstanding.
Helen, is there a reason they can't use that?
Well, because it would have to be constructed up to the minor subdivision.
So just the quality of the roadway would have to be
Yeah.
more significant. I'm concerned with the number of entrances we're adding on to Brewster Road. Brewster's getting pretty busy.
Yeah, traffic's getting
And,
heavy.
and it's not, and so what we've done here is we've taken what could be really one entrance and made it three within a short period, just in a little short space. And I just question if that's a good move.
I guess the reason why the petitioner is requesting in that manner is, to avoid having to build that road with the 2 ditches on each side and potentially have to request waivers. As you can see, the surveyor drew the road itself and it abuts the property line, so it would be difficult to provide the required shoulder as well as the ditches on each side. It would require some waivers. And we understand your concern, however, I think that this is what the petitioner came up with, as well as the surveyor, that would have been the best option so they wouldn't have to construct the road.
Are you opposed to putting in the right kind of road? If you could have it?
No, I'm not opposed to it. How far would it have to go? Would it just have to stretch to parcel B, or would it have to be complete reconstruction of the entire existing drive? Because if it does, that existing drive from the road back to the parcel A where the existing home front is, that's a pretty substantial distance off the road.
How far would that go, Helen?
If I'm not mistaken, maybe Mr. Tish, you can confirm, but it would have to go all the way up to at least parcel B to access parcel B.
We'd have to look at it because parcel A is already accessing it. We'd have to have a turnaround at some point. It looks like they have a turnaround in there. And so, for parcel B to pull a building permit, parcel B would have to have the road up to Parish standard, up to parcel B, providing access for them. But with parcel A having a lot already on it, I think they'd have to bring it up to Parish standard, at least to the back of that. I think it'd be parcel B, because then parcel A would be a driveway past that point.
So you'd have to go all the way to the I guess it's the northern side of parcel B
And add a turnaround.
and add a turnaround?
Yeah, it's a really nice piece of property, and that's gonna be a tough give there.
Okay. I just don't care for the 3 entrances that close on Brewster, but thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Truxillo.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Truxillo to approve. Commissioner McInnes.
Yes, to the petitioner. So you're going to be, I'm confused. What's north of Lot B? Is that Lot A?
Yes, north of Lot B right now, it's a nice open field. And then what it would be is, with us getting the parcel B, parcel A would now become it would go from its current 1.4 into the 1.2 from parcel A being added, and then become the 2.6. So right now it's a field, and it's got some pecan trees and stuff like that in it, but it's an open field that also has a garden as well.
And they wouldn't be willing to improve the road? Pay their portion to get that road improved?
I don't think it's a matter of them not willing to approve the road, but if they do that, then that would cut substantially into that field that's there if we had to put a turnaround. And where we're going to have the house positioned is going to be facing the existing drive that's already there. And so if we were to do that, then we would have to disrupt the current field that's been there and kind of the way that they've had it for the last 80 years.
So you're going to put another house on Lot A?
No, on Lot B.
I guess I'm not following.
So we're going to build the house on parcel B. And so since the original parcel was 3.78 acres, And for us to build, we have to have a minimum of 1 acre. And so we made parcel B that flag lot so that we could have access from Brewster Road. And so with doing that, it extended to 1.5 acres. And so since there was a remaining 1.2, it's just going to be absorbed into the existing parcel A to now become a larger lot. So parcel A, nothing changes with it other than the existing home is still where it is. And now it just goes from the 1.4, and then it's going to incorporate the open field to become the 2.69.
Okay, thank
Mrs.
you.
McInnes, are you asking maybe what the purpose is of creating parcel C?
No, I don't see why you couldn't widen the current access as Commissioner Ress was suggesting. And just because, and split the cost between each lot owner who would be using it. All the burden of the cost wouldn't have to be on parcel B.
So so you're just saying widen the existing drive to be able to use it to access all 3 parcels?
Correct.
Yeah,
Parcel-
I'm
And
sure
split
that,
up the cost between
I'm-
everybody using it.
Parcel C would have to be accessed directly from Brewster Road. That's part of the requirements of the minor subdivision.
But that leaves the other 2 using 1 access point.
Did that answer your question now?
So are y'all in agreement with that?
Private drive gets 5 acres. Should take that access to 5 lots from the private drive.
Yeah, but the first parcel along the Parish Road has to access from the Parish Road.
Bill, while they're discussing this, your motion included with waivers?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess if I can offer another solution to this would be that the portion, well, would be to add the road to parcel B. And then parcel B would provide a servitude of passage to parcel A. But then a portion of the road would have to be incorporated into parcel B, which could totally change the configuration.
Are we talking, what, 30 feet?
Excuse me?
How much footage would cut into parcel B?
Where it would not cut into parcel B. Basically, the access from Brewster Road, parcel A's access from Brewster Road would be, it would be integrated or assimilated into parcel B. So parcel B would now own all the way up to Brewster Road. And they would have to provide a servitude of passage to parcel A and have a split road side by side. That could be as well.
Also, too, and I'll say this, if you know where the property is, with us doing this lot and putting the driveway on the backside of parcel B, the driveway that's existing, it gets missed already from where it's located. And then where ours would be right behind a wood line. So if you're worried about a turn in off Brewster, I can assure you, unless someone knows it's there, they're probably not going to turn into it, just because it doesn't stand out. There's a wood line, and then once you reach the property, I mean, the driveway happens relatively quickly. And so if your concern is adding another driveway or another turn off Brewster, Again, I can assure you with where it would be located on the edge of the property line against the woods, it's not really going to create an issue when it comes to, people being able to use it as a turnaround or noticing that it's there. Again, you'd like to think that people would drive the speed limit on Brewster, but as quick as people drive already, I promise if they're able to see it and able to use it for a turnaround, I would be relatively surprised.
So which do you prefer? As
Well,
proposed?
one of the main reasons too with parcel B with the flag lot, it's also too, by being able to put a driveway on that backside, it's also gonna help drainage of the property. And then also too, it's gonna do right there at the edge, being able to help the ditch out as well. I know they put a couple of requests in to be able to get the ditch fixed and dug out a little bit. So by us putting a driveway there and having that backside to parcel B, it'll help improve the property as well with drainage.
So you prefer as proposed?
Yes.
Okay. Because earlier you said if we could get the other approved.
Well, if we could, but then once we had to start cutting into the existing property to make a turnaround, and then having to widen the existing driveway, that's when it became an issue. Now, if we could just use the existing driveway and then turn off of it, then that would be fine. But to widen it and then make changes, especially with the trees going along both sides of the driveway, it would make the property, it would disrupt the value and also the aesthetics of the property.
Sure. I'm done.
Okay. Commissioner Barcelona.
Second the motion to approve with the waivers.
Okay, second by Commissioner Barcelona. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
Commissioner Mickens. Motion to approve with waivers carries.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll go into re-subdivision review. Item 8, 2021-2490-MRP. Re-subdivision of lots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10A, 11A, 12A, and a portion of lot 9A1 into lots 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A, 9A, 1A, Square 169, Town of Mandeville subdivision. The owner is Big D Land and Cattle Company, LLC. Dennis Pastine. Representative is Tim Burns. Surveyor is Kelly McHugh and Associates. Parish Council District Representative is Honorable James Davis. General location, the parcel's located on the south side of Carolyn Street, on the north side of America Street, and on the east side of Rapitel Street, and on the west side of McDonald Street, Mandeville, Ward 4, District 7. Staff?
The owner is requesting to create 6 lots. The proposal involves the creation of more than 5 lots, and the request shall be subject to items number 1 and 2.
Okay, Tim Burns in the audience. Is anyone in the audience representing this case? Seeing no one, I'll close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Rest.
Yeah, I drove by this one. It's a little misleading. There's a house on lot 7A, 1A. There's a house on 9A, 1A. There's a house on lot 3A, and there's also a lot right to the north of lot 3A on part of 2A, what is going to be the new 2A. But overall, they've taken some small lots and created some bigger lots, and they've cleared this property out partly already, but they've left a lot of trees. It looks like it'll be a better development than it would be if we made all those little lots that are already there. I would recommend approval based on what I saw.
All right, that's with the waivers?
Yes.
No waivers?
No waivers, I don't think. Yeah?
Okay.
No.
There's
Yeah,
no
with
waivers.
I didn't see waivers.
Okay, all right. All right, Commissioner Crawford. Second by Commissioner Crawford. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion to approve carries.
Thank you. All right, we go to page 3, item 9, 2021-2497-MRP, re-subdivision of lots 1, 3-65 and 67 into lots 3A, 6A, 7A, 10A, 11A, 14A, 15A, 18A, 19A, 22A, 23A, 26A, 27A, 30A, 31A, 34A, 35A, 38A, 39A, 42A, 43A, 46A, 47A, 50A, 51A, 54A, 55A, it's 55A 5, is that correct?
58.
The 5 doesn't go on there? So it's got 55A 5. Okay. It drops down to the line. That's right. The next lot was 58A, 59A, 62A, 63A, 67A, Square 21, the Berg Boulevard. Owner and representative is Robert Doolittle and Benjamin Doolittle. Surveyors Low Engineers. Parish Council District Representative Honorable Riker Toledano. General location of parcels located on North Street, 11th Avenue and Hellenberg Boulevard, which is not constructed right now. Covington, Ward 3, District 5. Staff?
The owner is requesting to create 32 lots. The public hearing is required considering that the proposal involves the creation of more than 5 lots, and the request shall be subject to the comments listed below, 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you. Mr. Shane?
Good evening, Honorable Commission. Jeff Shane of the Jones Fussell Law Firm at P.O. Box 1810 in Covington, and I represent the petitioner that seeks to re-subdivide these lots that are already existing legal lots of record. In much the same as the last case that you just heard, this is a process wherein we will be combining 2 substandard lots into one. This is A4 zoned property. We are in full accord with staff comments and understand what our obligations are going forward. So the essence of the request, again, is to combine 2 into 1. I would add that on the back side of these lots where the property fronts Hellenberg Boulevard, there's no present intent to construct Hellenberg Boulevard nor to develop those lots. We understand that that is an obligation that we have to undertake in order to develop those lots in the future, but that will not be something that we'll be doing initially. So if any of you have any questions or comments, I would be glad to address them at the appropriate time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Shane. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor? Yes, sir. Come up, state your name and address. All right. I've got a number of cards here that are against. Klaus Heyer. Good evening.
Good evening. I live at 21463 Hunt Drive. Aside from listing some of the reasons that others might list, this is essentially a strip of A4. It's kind of an island within an A2. So the spirit of the immediate area is acre lots, and actually most of our lots are even slightly larger than an acre. So it might be answered that yes, there's an A4 further down Harrison towards 190. That is the reason, that's one of the many reasons that we would be opposed to it, is just the increase in traffic, to name one of the many reasons. But I'd like to leave it
Okay.
for other people.
All right, thank you. Harry Geruso? Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Harry Geruso, 21473 Hunt Drive, neighbor of Mr. Klaus here, and definitely against this. Not only is it a traffic situation, but the flooding and the drainage situation. This would be terrible for our community, removing all of the forestry and all of the trees which soak up the water. We're just totally against it. Too many dwellings on one small of a property is just not good for the area. We are totally against it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Herb Ivins?
Herb Ivins, 70298 Fuchsia Street, again. As the prior speaker said, pretty much the same thing. What is the size of these lots? Can I ask that question? The smallest?
It appears, just kind of looking over them, 59.9 by 140.
Let's keep our trees, our deer, and keep Metairie over there.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Charlie Clark?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, my name is Charlie Clark. I live at 21458 Casriel Drive. And I think what the other speakers have said, I second that. The density of this, where it sits, I live in A2. Give you an example, right across the street from this development, one of the gentlemen in the audience has 5 acres. On the back side of this development, the individual that lives in that house has 3 acres. If you look at the natural development of these properties, although they may be A4s, you're going to find that the developments have developed with 5 acres, with 2 acres, 1 acre, much larger than what we're talking about here. The other problem that we have, of course, we all know Emerald Forest, and Emerald Forest brought a lot of traffic. Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart. If you're going from 190 to 59, you're going shopping, you're coming this back way. So your only way out is either through Seoul, Parker, Casriel, or Meyer Drive. And this sits literally in the hub of that. So there's not a major ingress and egress. All of the traffic of this area will have to be filtered out through our subdivisions. And our subdivisions are A2. I actually live on 5.5 acres. So the density doesn't fit here. Talking about the flooding and the traffic essence, this is some of the high ground. This base elevation is sitting at 31 foot. If you look at the map and you follow the water's going to have to go south from here, down Hellenberg, to 27-foot base elevation. So if you cut these trees and you talk about direct runoff of water, it's going to those people who already have a problem. If we're going to talk about these kind of developments, we need to talk about the existing problems. I think I heard something earlier that was a very good discussion on transitions. You know, on one side, we have Highway 59, the encroachment of the commercial into my area. You see me up here once a year fighting something that is encroaching. So now it's going to be high density coming from the western side, coming back in. And again, I just don't think it fits the area, and I think that everybody here will tell you that the problems we already have will simply be force multiplied by allowing this kind of density there. So thank you.
Thank you. Courtney Olivia?
name is Courtney Olivia. I live at 21453 Casserole Drive. My husband and I just moved up here about 8 months ago to get out of Metairie. We now sit on 2 acres. And when I heard about this development that I wanted to come in, it broke my heart because I came to this neighborhood because of the large lots, because I could have chickens in my backyard, because I was trying to get out of Metairie. There are too many people in Metairie, there's too much traffic, and this neighborhood brought me here because of that. And if you're going to add these dense houses, it doesn't fit the neighborhood. It doesn't. Like the previous people were saying, it's gonna add so much traffic to our streets that we already have so much traffic already because of Home Depot, because of Lowe's, because of all that. This is going to multiply it 1,000 times. I don't approve. I moved here for the space. I want to keep the integrity of the space that everybody else has. Like, everybody has 2 acres, 3 acres, 1 acre lots. Let's keep it that way. At the end of the day, let's keep it that way.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Mark Welch.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Hey, Bernie. I passed out a little plot that shows the proposed development, and if you do some simple math, you'll see that there are 10 undeveloped parcels that same size on each side of Hellenberg, the extension that will be on Hellenberg. If this is approved, do the math, this would open the floodgates to a possibility of 300 households. I can't even comprehend that. The traffic problems, I always wonder why the improved signage happened on North Street where it turns on Ravine, and they've added the flashing lights on the poles, and I think this was probably I'm assuming this may have been the push for that. I always felt like something was gonna happen there. There's no way that much money would have been spent on improving signage if there wasn't gonna be a added density to that area. This is gonna turn into worse than Tammany Hills, or at least as bad. How many of you live in Tammany Hills? None of us. We all moved here because we like the larger parcels. I've been back there for 33, 34 years. I've been lucky enough to acquire 6 acres on a dead end street. It's heaven. We have wildlife, we have deer. It's wooded. If you take this parcel of property, it's gonna flatten it. There won't be a tree left on it. The time you do rooftops, the time you do driveways and you do concrete, the drainage is gonna be, I'm just afraid this is gonna be saturated. The water's not gonna be able to drain into the earth anymore. And it's already, some of the area is already just real boggy, super wet. Talking about the loss of trees, if you go down Hellenberg, there are beautiful houses on Hellenberg. They put the cul-de-sacs in, nice sized houses. There's not a tree on them. It looks out of place. It might as well be in Metairie. It could be in any vanilla development in this country where they go in and just cut the trees and build nice houses. It just doesn't have any character. I do have a question with this. Is the Hellenberg, are they going to plan to develop Hellenberg through the middle of this lot, or not through the middle of it, but on one side of it?
I have no idea at this point.
The houses are plotted to be on North Street and to be on Hellenberg.
Okay.
What's the plan for the traffic on that side of it?
We haven't got into that yet.
You hadn't got into that yet? Okay, that's just a question. That would be one small positive for me if Hellenberg was completed, but it doesn't offset the negatives for it. Thank you all for your time.
Okay, thank you. There's only 7 seconds left. I have a number of cards, so I'm gonna ask the commissioners if you wanna add a little bit of time so that we can have these other folks. Is that all right with y'all? 5 minutes? Okay. 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 We're gonna add 5 minutes. All right, the next card I have is Diane Morales and Albert Morales. Come forward.
I didn't put it, do not wish to speak, but I am definitely against it.
Okay, all right. Neither of you wish to speak? All right, that's fine, I missed that. All right, Diane Stewart.
My name is Diana Stewart. I live at 21283 North Street. This isn't in my backyard, it's at my front door. I've lived in my home for 17 years and looked at the forest. Most of us have kept our trees. And this area already floods, and they're gonna take out all the trees, and it's gonna ruin my home. I've been there for 17 years. Please don't let them ruin our neighborhood. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Brandon May.
I live at 120 Lincoln Street. My property almost directly runs into North Street where this is going to occur. From North Street, where it recommends, all the way down to 11th Street is flooding already. The streets overtop and flood every time it rains. Building that development right there will only make that worse. Anybody know the name of the subdivision that this is being talked about?
No.
It's Red Gap Acres, not Red Gap Subdivided Acres. This is something that will ruin, like many others have said, everything around that property, why we all bought that property. Why would you want to subdivide so far? How many lots did he list? Was it 30-something lots? I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous to even want a place in that area by all these homes who have trees and have the sanctity of the area with wildlife. It's absolutely ridiculous. I am very against it, and I'm sure most of these people are too.
Thank you. Aaron, I'm not even gonna try the last name.
So look, I live right across the street from Brandon, and it's the same thing. The flooding is horrible, okay? We are literally at the bottom of a hill, and you're talking about packing 30-something houses right behind us. You're just gonna make this a whole lot worse. And there was a lady up here speaking earlier about coming from Metairie to over here. That's why we moved over there. We like the scenery. We like the rural. Our mail carrier is rural. You know, we like the fact that we have 1 acre, 2 acre, wildlife running around. That's our whole thing. We don't want cookie cutter houses popping up behind us. So I strongly disagree. I hope the council will see the same way that we all see it. And I hope that, you know, this doesn't go through. So thank you.
Thank you. Kenneth Perkins?
My name's Ken Perkins. I live at 21313 Soul Drive. If you notice, we had a little rain lately, right? I mean, we've been getting a little bit of rain, right? Every time it rains, okay, our ditches overflow. The road overflows. You talking about North Street? You go out there right now, there's signs on either side of the road, be careful of high water. I mean, it's inundated, okay? So I've been there 22 years on Soul Drive, and this puts up to what's probably going to happen. You can look at the plot that the gentleman provided, this gentleman here. To me, this is precedence. If they do this, they're going to set a precedence to where all these other, you know, blocks of property, okay, they're all woods right now, all the way from Hellenberg, where it dies at 6th Street, all the way to 59. That area is all woods, completely woods, and completely underwater when it rains.
Okay.
I can't get anybody to come and dig my ditches, okay? You know, it's really ridiculous. If you open this can of worms, okay, then we haven't any idea. I'm gonna come move in with one of you guys. I'm sure you got enough room. Okay, and I'm sure you're not underwater.
Thank you.
So I'd appreciate, you guys taking us into consideration too.
Thank you. William Hare?
I'm just gonna be real quick. I live at 70222 Gulch. I'm catty corner from this property. I echo everything everybody else has said here. These poor people on Lincoln Street and 11th Street, they're dealing with flooding every time it rains back there. I've been complaining about drainage for the last 3 presidents of this parish, and I can't get anything done, okay? I complain about the speeders to the sheriff's office, about all the traffic flying through there, going to all these subdivisions on Harrison Avenue. Come sit at my house on a Sunday when I'm out there cooking. I'll cook you a steak, and you can watch a NASCAR ride up and down the street, because it's horrible. And adding 32 more homes there with all the traffic, it's gonna be even worse. I
Okay,
appreciate
thank
your
you.
time, thank you.
Angela May?
Hi, I'm Angela May. I'm on Lincoln Street, and I back the property that this is going to go, if this takes place, will affect. I, like everyone else, completely disagree. I hope you guys vote against it, but it does impact the traffic. We're a family community. There's a lot of children out there, walking dogs, people riding bikes. I actually seen a fella get hit on that curve right there at Lincoln by my house. It's horrible, but anyway, traffic is bad, drainage, we know it stinks. We have St. Tammany Sheriff's Office resources constantly out there patrolling the speeds. It's a lot. And to put 32 homes in that element, yeah, it's just tragic, and we're just not for it. We enjoy what we have currently and would like to keep it that way, so please vote against this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that's all the speaker cards. We'll go to, you can come up and rebuttal, but right now, I'm gonna close the public off on this side of it. You can go to rebuttal, and you can speak at that time. All right, we're gonna go to rebuttal. Mr. Shane?
How much time, Mr. Chair?
Well, we'll work with you, let's put it that way.
Okay.
How much time do you need?
Probably not any more than you're gonna allot me.
Okay.
I think first and foremost, I would certainly remind the commission, but I hope that the general public understands, those that are here this evening as well, what this request is about. It is only for the re-subdivision of existing lots of record. It's not a zoning case, and in fact, the re-subdivision does not set a new density mark in any way. I'd like staff or legal to interrupt or correct me if I misstate, but I believe that a common owner of 2 abutting substandard lots has an absolute right to join those lots and make them contiguous. So we could have proceeded in a different direction than what we did, but we thought that the right way to do this would be to re-subdivide these lots via public hearing. Now, to make sure that everyone understands, there is no intent to develop or open Hellenberg Boulevard on the south side, which means those 15 lots, although re-subdivided, and I can't imagine that it's not to the betterment of all to have 30.75-foot lots re-subdivided into 61.9-foot lots. But there's no present intent to develop or open Hellenberg Boulevard and do any type of work whatsoever. If you look on the north side of the lots along North Street, in all likelihood, there will be challenges with regard to developing Lot 3A and Lot 7A. That's the 2 lots to the far right, because there may not, in fact, be a sufficient public or dedicated street in front of those lots. You can see the note on the survey that shows 20-foot dedicated street, which I don't think is going to meet the necessary code standards. So what we're really talking about is that of the 17 lots that front North Street, if you take 3A and 7A out, we're really talking about taking 30 lots and combining them and creating 15 lots. In particular, that would be lots 11A and moving in a sort of a northeasterly direction that would run all the way down to the corner of North and 11th, which is lot 67A. As I said, this is not a zoning case. I think you would be interested to know this property is all flood zone C and also all flood zone X under the new flood map. I think you should also know, if you are not aware, that in order to pull permits on these, to build homes on these lots, you're going to have to submit an individual drainage plan for each lot, so that if staff determines that there's inadequate drainage in the area and that the lot doesn't drain properly, or that in fact it's going to create cumulative impacts in the existing drain area that are insufficient, we understand that that's a risk that we take in purchasing and developing the property. But again, I hearken back to the last case, which in concept was no different than this, but for the fact that we didn't have folks that were in opposition. That doesn't mean I don't respect the voices that I hear this evening and that I don't understand their comments. But again, if we are going to shrink the number of lots, combine lots, make them larger, and there's a legal right to do so, isn't it better to go through the re-subdivision process and try to do it in the most orderly manner as possible, so that it in fact can be somewhat compatible, but certainly not threaten safe, healthy health or other concerns of the people that live in that area? We simply ask that you take the code into consideration and that you focus on our request to re-subdivide these lots as I have described. If any of you have any questions, I'll be glad to address them.
Thank you, Mr. Shane. All right, there was two folks that apparently didn't turn their cards in, and if you want to speak, you're in a rebuttal phase right now. So you'll have 5 minutes. But I would, try and give some of the other folks time to rebut anything. Yes, sir, please state your name and address.
My name is Nicholas Cicero. I live at 70225 Gulch Street. I'm right across the street from this plan program, and I'm really confused. It's one parcel of land, and I don't understand how they can subdivide into lots when property taxes for that assessment number is minimal. It's $23 for 6.2 acres. I don't understand it. I'm against it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Get in line, and we'll hear this gentleman, then you can come up.
My name is John Vincent. I live at 21573 Seoul. I've been a community and economic developer for 25 years, done community and economic development work in 7 U.S. states and Ukraine. In my professional opinion, this development is horribly incompatible with the area. This particular tract on Hellenberg represents one of the largest green spaces between 190 and 59. It's adjacent to two critical drainage areas, and on the west end, it's an area of drainage concern. We already have flooding. We have congestion on the streets. It's unsafe. This should not be approved. I love the distinguished barrister's comment. We have no present intent, but if it passes, it creates a situation in which that intent can become a reality. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Come up, state your name and address, and turn your card in.
My name is Richard Strazazar. I live on 70292 Gulch. I've been there since 1973. I had a nephew killed from the traffic in front of my house. I held him in the ditch while he died because of too much traffic. And if I stop at the end of my road to turn right, there's a sign up, you can't go that way because there's so much water, I have to turn around and go another way. So I'd appreciate if you'd stop this tragedy that's getting ready to happen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Turn your card in, please. Turn your speaker card in, sir. Thank you. All right. That completes the rebuttal phase.
Can I speak?
Yes,
Still got a
you still got a little bit of time, yes.
Okay. My name is Mike Manette, and I hear a lot of words being spoken today, and I hear somebody saying, well, if things go wrong, it's on us. Well, it's on us. So where we go from there if things go wrong, So I'm hoping you'll get some studies done or something, instead of just saying, well, if something goes wrong, it's on us, that we have nothing to rely on. Who's going to protect the people? You're here for the people, not for developers who may or may not have it right. And I hope you really consider that. I hope we can get some engineering studies done, because I don't think this is going to work out. That's my personal opinion. But, I don't have the math in front of me, but really, over there, when they developed something over there on Phillips' property, they flooded him out. They bettered the situation, yes, they bettered the. And when 2025 came along, they had his property, right next to his property, they had it zoned so that it was going to be a retention pond. And then, lo and behold, it's about 4 or 5 lots out there where there was supposed to be a retention pond. So you know what? I don't trust anybody. I don't trust the government, and I don't trust the developers. And I hope you can get some engineering studies done, because you're here to protect the people, not to protect the developer. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. I see no one else wishes to speak.
I'd like to, if I get rebuttal time.
You got 40 seconds.
One of the things that this barrister came up, and if you look at any meeting at a council, you see him. He's always there. I don't think he's got a desk here. But beside the point, okay, what he stated was, we make no plans to do anything with Hellenberg. That would be the one thing. I mean, it's one shining star that might give us a shot. Okay? We don't plan on doing the access road. In other words, what he's saying is, he don't want to do a damn thing but build 32 houses to disrupt this whole area. Okay? And they're going to make the money on that development, and that's the end of the game. He gets paid, they get paid, we get screwed.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm going to close it to the public and bring it back to the commission now. Time has expired. All right, Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
Mr. Shane. How many lots exist today?
64.
64, so you'd be essentially cutting it in half.
Correct.
So as it sits today, you could develop 64 lots?
No, sir.
No. They'd have to be combined, they're
They are
substandard.
substandard
Okay.
lots, and staff, correct me if I'm wrong, but they have to be joined.
Right, okay. All right, that's it.
All right, Commissioner Barcelona.
As far as the substandard lot rule, so right now they're not, they are substandard, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, that's it, thanks.
All right, Commissioner Willie.
Okay, I guess I got a question of legal, I guess. Right now, there's 60-some lots, and because of the lots of record, the most they can build there is 30-some houses. But the developer's saying they don't only build about 20 or 18 or 20, whatever it is. I know it's zone 4A, so that 4A parcel would allow for those 60-foot lots, right? Is that correct?
I haven't done the calculations, but I believe that the staff has, and that is correct, that this conforms with the A4 zoning.
There are substantial lots of record, so 2 lots can be combined into one to create a buildable site. Now, more lots can be combined into one to make larger lot size.
Okay, based on the acreage, what does the zone, how many houses does the zoning allow?
The A4 single-family residential zoning district allows for a maximum of 4 units per acre.
So we're looking at roughly 25 houses max to be built on that land according to the zoning?
But if it would be one parcel of land,
Okay.
That's how it could be
Okay, just
subdivided.
those 60-foot lots, to me, they're not compatible to that area because everybody's got larger lots. It just don't make sense to put that in there. But we get in a little pickle here because they lots of record. So if this commission denies this request, what's the recourse? If we looking for them to put, we'd like them to put larger lots in on that property, we don't deny that marketability. But I know they're allowed to combine the lots. So what's the recourse if we deny this?
Right. Of course, if you deny it, then the petitioner has a right to appeal that decision to the council, and then the council can either override or agree with the denial of this commission, and if it's denied, then the petitioner could take that suit to the 22nd JDC. I think that everyone needs to understand that this subdivision was platted in 1910, and these are all lots of record, and so that is a consideration that has to be taken into account.
Is there any history of cases like this where they were denied and they went to court and, and people were just wanting larger lots instead of, not to deny the people selling lots, but to wanting larger lots on that property? Is there any cases like that you know of?
Not that I know of offhand.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Bernie?
Nope.
Commissioner Rest?
So I drove all through this area today, as a matter of fact. Once I found 11th Street and 11th Avenue are two different streets. I thought I could find my way through here pretty easy, but every time I drive through this area, I get mixed up. Boy, I get lost. But no doubt, everything, I guess it is south of Seoul and that area is big, open, heavily wooded property that are, and I drive down and I can feel what these people are saying. As you go to the north, and of course, as you head over to the numbered streets in there, that's pretty dense in there, and that part of it. It seems like this is less of a transition than there should be in this area between these large lot houses, and it is zoned. It is lots of records, so to speak. But I agree with what staff had mentioned, that because you combine two lots just to be legal, doesn't mean that's all you have to do. You could combine three of them. You could combine four of them. You could make them big lots and put less homes, and then the transition between these larger lot homes and that area would be less. Less of the trees would have to be removed. Whether it's a requirement or not, or if it's just the right thing to do, is what I struggle with here. There's no doubt once it's done, somewhere down the road, if Hellenberg Road, Boulevard they show here, is constructed, those lots are there. And whether there's a plan today or 2 years from now, it doesn't change it for the people that are in the area. I really struggle with the size of this compared to, and it will be the removal of all those trees, and it is heavily wooded right now. I really don't like it right there. I think we have some potential issues, but that doesn't scare me a whole lot. I guess someday I'll probably find out I should be quiet, but I vote to deny.
We have a motion by Commissioner Rest to deny. Commissioner Truxillo.
I have to agree with Commissioner Rest. I second.
Second by Commissioner Truxillo. Any further discussion? I see no one in the queue. Please vote.
Hey, motion to deny carries.
Thank y'all. All right.
God bless you. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. I'll give you all a few minutes to clear. Patrick. Patrick, you want to start this one off?
Including area of special concern on the west side. And then they're all gonna come through, they always put through like a 5-foot side setback. There's nowhere for the water to go, like that's the big thing. So 7.5 side setback. That's understanding. The whole premise of a substandard lot record was that you come in, you can only afford to build like 2 or 3 lots or whatever. People do these big ass houses they use, they do that. It used to be you build, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom on this one like this, or you have a little yard.
The chairman stepped out, but we'll continue the meeting. He'll be back in a moment. Tentative subdivision review, we have none. The text change matter was postponed. Now preliminary subdivision review. 2021-2502 PP, Lakeshore Villages Phase 6, revised submittal. Previously approved September 8th, 2020 meeting. We'll have to wait till we get our quorum back. All right, now we have the quorum back. 2021-2502 PP, Lakeshore Villages, Phase 6, revised submittal. Previously approved September 8, 2020 meeting. Developer owner D.H. Horton, Inc., Gulf Coast, engineering surveyor, Duplantis Design Group. Parish Council District Representative, the Honorable Jake Irie. General location of the property is located north of Oak Harbor Boulevard, west of LA Highway 433, east of Interstate 10, South Louisiana, Ward 9, District 13. Staff?
Yes, sir. The preliminary plans and hydrologic study have been reviewed by this office, and an inspection was made of the site on July 30th, 2021. Planning Commission approval shall be subject to the following items being addressed. 1, the geotechnical report and pavement design dated June 21st, 2021 calls for a 3.5-inch asphalt section for this phase of Lakeshore Villages. Update all plan sheets and typical sections accordingly to reflect this requirement. Once the plans have been updated, approval from the Director of Engineering will be required for this pavement section. 2, the updated cross-section EE will need to be modified to provide a minimum of 5-foot depth for this pond area. No funded maintenance obligations required since this is a community development district owned and maintained subdivision. And no mandatory development fee is required at final submittal since a public hearing was held prior to January 1st, 2005. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Shane.
Yes, sir. Jeff Shane of the Jones Fussell Law Firm, P.O. Box 1810 in Covington, representing D.R. Horton, Inc., Gulf Coast, which is the owner and developer of Lakeshore Villages Phase 6. We are, in response to the staff comments, an updated geotechnical report with corresponding plan sheets have already been submitted that match up with the recommendations. So in due course, when staff has an opportunity, that information is there for them to review. But we want to affirm that we are in agreement with the staff comment and have revised accordingly and made that submission. With regard to the second comment, we would respectfully request consideration that we not have to update cross-section EE. And so to explain better what that comment is all about, the pond area is approximately 70,000+ square feet in area. And we believe that this cross-section EE is an area that is roughly only about 1,000 of that 70,000 square feet. And so in that area, the pond is not the 5-foot minimum depth as requested. There are topographic reasons why it's not 5 feet, but in no way does that impede the function of the pond, the amount of water that the pond holds, doesn't impact drainage, et cetera. So what we would like to do, you may remember that in Lakeshore Villages, we have a community development district, meaning that the infrastructure is not dedicated to the parish, nor does it become the parish's responsibility for upkeep and maintenance. So we recognize, to the extent that just this one small area might not have 5 feet of depth, if that presents some maintenance problems, meaning that there's vegetation that grows through the water that has to be trimmed, et cetera, that will be an obligation of the CDD, which of course is, I guess, dominated, if you will, at this point by the developer. So we would respectfully request that we not have to, I guess, revise Section EE as the comments suggest, and we ask that you grant preliminary subdivision approval.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shane.
Yes, sir.
All right, anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor on this preliminary? Anyone wish to speak against? Seeing no one, I'll close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Randolph.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask the staff concerning Mr. Shane's suggestion that we not comply with the cross-section with modifying the pond, if you will, to 5 foot. And his recommendation is since it's not parish-owned, et cetera, that be the responsibility of the CED. Do you all have any concerns with that? I know you do because it's the recommendation. But publicly, I'd like to know.
So we don't have the cross-section with us. Lizzie, ask their engineer if they know the depth at that crossing between lots 1239 and 1560. How short of 5 feet we are.
Approximately 2 feet.
So the depth is 2 feet there?
Yeah, that's between lots 1560 and 1239. That's where we believe this area is, and we estimate it to be about 50 feet by 20 feet, the area in question.
Yeah. Parish towards the 5 foot depth, we don't necessarily have any concerns with the depth. The request for that cross section was more to establish where the water line was going to hit those lots and what the cross slopes were associated with the gap between 1239 and 1560. And figure out how the cross flow would work from Amenity Lake 1 into the larger lake. Now, as far as access for any sort of maintenance along that, within that lake, it would be something that would have to come from outside, it looks like, too.
Well, it clearly opens back into an area that's certainly got the 5 foot of depth, and then, of course, empties into the canal. So, I mean, I think we don't believe that there will be a practical consequence. The only thing that we could imagine could be a consequence would be if there's a suggestion of a maintenance issue. And that's why I wanted to make sure it's clear that that would be an obligation that we have, and it will be ours.
Well, I don't know if it'd be a waiver. I mean, the rest of the pond's all well in excess of that. Yeah, we don't necessarily have a functional objection to that. It was just, it didn't meet the ordinance for the 5 foot depth requirement as part of the pond. So I know if the waiver requested that 5 feet, that portion maybe just to make it clean.
As to cross-section EE, yes, sir. That would probably be the more proper way to do it.
Just make it clean across the board.
And also with the understanding that coupled with the waiver is obviously the commitment and obligation that the CDD takes that responsibility.
Okay.
We accept that.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. I want to make sure I understand because I know that it's a beautiful development, have no problem with the development as it's going right now. I just don't want to see or anticipate a problem. Excluding the waiver for the minimum 5-foot depth for the pond area is because the water can flow somewhere else, Mr. Shane, or Chris? I mean, what are we saying?
There's enough room for the water to flow back and forth from Mini Lake 1 into the larger lake. So,
Does it impact water flow in any way or capacities? And correct me, staff, if you disagree, but.
no, and, I mean, if you
Not a
have a
drainage or
larger flow there,
hydrologic
it may
issue.
actually scour it out a little bit, but it wouldn't be much, you know, depending on the amount of flow coming from it.
Okay.
So,
Okay, with that, I'm motion to approve with the, considering the geotechnical report have been submitted. I move to approve
with waiver?
with the waiver.
Motion by Commissioner Randolph to approve with the waivers. Commissioner Crawford.
Okay, just have a quick question. I'm still trying to understand what's going on there, and I don't really have a problem with it, but Chris, the depth is 2 feet at that point? Is that what I heard?
The water depth at that point is like 2 or 3 feet. It doesn't meet the 5-foot minimum requirement, which is listed in the ordinance underneath a wet pond located in St. Tammany Parish.
Okay, so the bottom of the drainage acts as a weir, basically, or something like that?
Not even necessarily as a weir, because the water surface is 3 feet above the bottom. So you've got a 3-foot water depth there.
Okay.
And the function of the 5-foot minimum depth is to prevent a wet bottom or algae growth and everything. And so you have enough depth there where sunlight doesn't penetrate to the bottom, allows fish and minnows to be there.
Okay.
It doesn't be a mosquito trap.
So y'all are confident that this doesn't have any impact on quantity or flow rate of water going back and forth?
Yes, sir, we're confident with that.
Okay, well, second the motion.
Okay, second by Commissioner Crawford. Commissioner Rest.
Yeah, Chris, I had one more question for you there.
Yes, sir.
So I heard you say you had a concern about it eroding away those 2 lots that where it comes through the hourglass, so to speak. Is that correct?
I did not have a concern. I said there's potential for it depending on the amount of flow coming through from that Mini Lake number 1, but it goes from narrow to wide, so there shouldn't be a whole lot of flow going through there, especially with a 3-foot depth.
Okay, so you're not worried about erosion of those lots?
No, but that was why we requested this section too, is also to see what the side slopes were.
Okay.
Between those 2
I would
lots.
say it could be bulkheaded if it was a problem, but it doesn't sound like if it's not one, then I'm okay.
No, it should be a low flow situation.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Crawford.
Just one question along the lines there. Do we need any riprap or anything like that on the back of those lots?
No, sir, I don't believe
Don't
so.
think? Okay.
But I'll defer to Mr. Shane's engineer regarding that.
Okay.
We don't believe there's a need. We think the slope design is such that it'll facilitate on each side.
Okay.
Through there, but if not, again, we understand it's our obligation to maintain it, meaning that we've got to make sure that it works.
Okay, so
I
if
think it's more likely to present vegetation. That's really the practical consequence, not, again, capacity, flow, drainage, erosion, any of those factors. And so what we'll have to do is to make sure that when we cut the grass around the ponds, if we believe that we've got too much algae in this one area, we're going to have to obviously cut that.
Okay.
Okay, I got a question for you, Mr. Shane. You've probably answered it, but I just forgot. What's the timeline for CDC to have responsibility for the maintenance?
Well, technically until the phase is platted, and you have final, that's, I guess, when the CDC takes over. But I mean, technically, the CDD rather, is in play now. CDC, what environment we live in today. The CDD is in play now, meaning that the parish has no responsibility before construction, during, or after as it relates to maintaining these facilities.
Is there an expiration time, so they will maintain this forever?
Yes, sir, that's correct. The Community Development District was created by ordinance of the parish pursuant to state law, which allows the formation of this body. It's a public body, the CDD, and it allows developers to use that mechanism, if you will, to finance, construct, maintain, and operate infrastructure, and it's perpetual. It
Okay.
can be terminated, but it can only be terminated by coming back to the council. Ms. Couvion and I just finished one last Thursday that was dormant, meaning that the infrastructure had never been built by the CDD. But it's a big it's a big undertaking, and since you've asked the question, I'll just say one more thing. It should be obvious, but in situations like this, to my view, it's very much to the betterment of the parish, because we still have to maintain and meet all parish standards. And the parish collects all of the taxes it otherwise collects on any property. But the parish has no economic obligation, financial obligation, as it relates to maintenance of any of the infrastructure. So the CDDs, in my view, provide the parish a real opportunity not to have to expend dollars in the CDD that they would otherwise.
Okay, is there a mandatory HOA fee?
There's an assessment for the CDD, yes, sir.
Are they the same on all the lots, or does it vary, or?
I would imagine it's based on units, perhaps maybe square foot. But in most instances, most residential subdivisions, it's simply just done per lot.
Right.
If you had a commercial situation where you had varying size lots, different type uses, you might have varying assessments. I'm sure in our situation, I would think the assessments are flat, meaning they're equal.
Okay.
Because they're all essentially just single-family residential.
They're more than $1 then?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
But they're reasonable and feasible though too, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to market the subdivision. That's obviously a disclosure when someone is buying the subdivision, but they know that the dollars they spend and the dollars they fund are actually spent where they live.
Okay.
And for a lot of people, that means an awful lot.
Yeah, good, thank you, Mr. Shane. All right, we have a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote.
With waiver.
With waivers, yes.
Motion to approve with waiver carries.
Thank you.
All right, we go to final subdivision review. Okay. Item 12, 2021-22444 FP, Copper Ridge, developer owner Copper Ridge LLC, care of Shelby LaSalle Jr. LLC, engineer surveyor J.V. Burks and Associates Incorporated, Parish Council District Representative is Honorable James Davis. General location, the property is located at the end of Hazel Drive, north of Montmart Street, Mandeville, Ward 4, District 7. Staff?
Yes, sir. Periodic inspections have been made by this office during construction, and a confirmation final inspection was made on August 3rd, 2021. The inspection disclosed that all the concrete roads are constructed and the roadside subsurface drainage is functioning. However, the subsurface drainage located in the green space areas is not functioning. Planning Commission approval shall be subject to the following items being completed before the plats are signed. Item 1, the Hazel Drive and Montmart Street intersection improvements need to be completed in accordance with the June 3rd, 2019 traffic letter, as well as the stop sign location plan dated July 25th, 2020. Once this is completed, the as-built signage plan will need to be revised to reflect the modifications to this intersection. 2, the revised as-built paving and drainage plan shows numerous yard drains installed along the eastern boundary of this property. However, during the final inspection, these yard drains could not be located due to siltation issues. The siltation needs to be removed from these areas and the yard drains exposed. 3, per section 125-95, Part D, the developer shall establish within a legal instrument the dedication and maintenance of said green space area in favor of homeowners association or property owners once the developer's interest within the subdivision is reduced to less than than 50% of the lot ownership. Said instrument shall include the developer's responsibility of maintaining the green space areas prior to the establishment and assumption by the homeowners association or property owners. The instrument shall be referenced to within each property title. The developer shall submit a copy of the legal instrument to the Department of Planning upon recordation. 4, the catch basins behind lots number 7 and number 8 were shifted to the west during construction, resulting in subsurface drain lines and a catch basin being located outside the green space area and on private lots, as well as standing water occurring behind these lots. The drainage infrastructure needs to be relocated to be off the private property and the standing water corrected. 5, the eastern and southern green space areas need to have all siltation that has occurred removed from this area, have a final grade established, and have proper BMPs installed until mature state of vegetation is established. 6, the drop inlets and associated subsurface drain lines along the southern boundary are being removed and a drainage swale is being installed to facilitate drainage in this area. Once this drainage feature is installed and final grade established, the swale needs to be vegetated and the as-built plans updated to reflect the changes. 7, the pond slopes, the embankment show signs of erosion. Reestablish the pond slopes and provide a mature stand of vegetation. 8, update restrictive covenant number 10 to include the COB reference. 9, the as-built pond volume does not appear to conform to the as-built drainage impact study required pond storage. Raise pond banks accordingly to provide the required top of bank and pond storage volume. 10, provide a complete and updated as-built drainage impact study stamped and signed by the engineer of record. Should the Planning Commission approve the request for final approval, a warranty obligation will be required for the infrastructure in the amount of 1,260 linear feet at $25 per linear foot for a total of $31,500 for a period of 2 years. Mandatory developmental fees are required as follows. The road impact fee at $1,077 per lot for 24 lots for a total of $25,848, and drainage impact fees $1,114 per lot for 24 lots for a total of $26,736. The fees are due before subdivision plats can be signed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Marone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Paul Marone on behalf of Copper Ridge LLC, the developer of this particular project. I visited the site this morning with Mr. LaSalle, our engineer. Mr. Burks is here. He visited the site this afternoon, so I'd like to give you an update on the items on the punch list. But first, I'd like to tell you that other than one minor item, all of the work identified on the punch list has been completed as of today. On page 1, there's reference to the subsurface drainage not functioning property. There was some siltation. All of that siltation has been removed, and hay bales and other erosion control measures have been put in place around those inlets. With regards to the street signs at Hazelhurst and Montmart, all of the signs are in. The one item that is left to be done is that Mr. Burks, our engineer, noticed that one of the signs, while it is in place, is not exactly in the right place. It needs to be moved up a little bit. So that will have to be relocated. But the sign is on site and has been installed, so we'll have to make that relocation. That's less than a day's work to do that. Item number 2, the yard drains, all of the siltation has been removed, and hay bales and other erosion control measures have been put in place there. We will comply with the obligations set forth in number 3 with regards to the restrictive covenants. Those have already been drafted and are simply waiting to be signed and recorded in accordance with the final plat. Item 4 is with regards to the catch basins behind lots 7 and lot 8. At the rear of the lots in this area, there's a 10-foot green space. In that green space, in order to catch some water coming from the adjoining subdivision, we have put these catch basins in place to do that. Originally, we were asked to preserve certain trees in this area. As a result of those trees, we had to move this pipe slightly so that it encroached into about 20 feet on 2 separate lots by about a foot or a foot and a half because the trees were in place. Ultimately, the trees we were requested by the neighbors to take the trees down, which we did. The problem is that to remove the root balls and the root structures to relocate this line would ultimately take the fence down that is our neighbor's fence because the root structure is all through that area. That is why we have proposed, rather than relocating that line to within the green space, for this short area, again, it's 20 feet on one lot, 20 feet on another, only by a depth of about 1.5 feet, to put a private servitude over that in favor of the HOA, who is to maintain this line. This is a private line. It is not a parish line. We would also have language in our restrictive covenants that would prevent any fences from being built within that servitude. So the fence would have to be on the outside of the servitude, again, only by about 1 foot or so from the back line. So we would respectfully ask that we have the ability to correct this issue by the placement of the servitude as I've proposed. Finally, item 5, the BMPs, the best management practices for siltation and so forth, have been installed there. We do have vegetation in the area. In fact, while we were out there, there was so much vegetation that had come up along the roadsides that there were a flock of geese that were feeding during our visit. Items 6 and 7 are both done. With regards to item 7, the pond, the areas of the pond, there were 2 banks, maybe 2 or 3 banks, where the erosion had occurred. There is matting down on each of those to address that. With regards to 8, we will of course update the restrictive covenants. With regards to item 9, Mr. Burks has addressed that item. There is no overtopping of the bank. There was a problem in the original as-built as to the elevation. That elevation has been corrected, and the elevation around the perimeter of the pond is such that it doesn't overtop. And the calculations have been provided to staff, or will be provided to staff, that evidences that. Other than that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have or that may be brought up by any of the residents who are here. But there is no work left to be done in the field other than the relocation of that one stop sign a little bit closer to the intersection. Other than that, all field work is completed. The new swale has been in place. All erosion control has been put in place. All of the seeding has been done for the vegetation, and there is nothing further for us to do. So we would respectfully request your approval. Again, with regards to the item of the line being within the lot, we would ask for the opportunity to fix that by that private servitude, and I'll be happy to answer any questions on that issue, but we appreciate your consideration. I'll be happy to respond at the appropriate time to any other questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of this final? All right, anyone wish to speak against? Okay, I've got several cards here, so we'll start off with Susan Eckholt. Good evening.
Good evening. Susan Eckholt, 501 Tanninger. Tanninger, Monte runs into Tanninger, which is right where Hazel comes out, okay? I've lived there for 2.5 years. We've had some heavy rains and never had any significant problems other than water in the street or coming up a little by the mailbox. I know that in July 20th that we did have a significant rain, but this made such a difference. One of the other people who are speaking have pictures to show you how much water, and the only thing that changed in the area was the subdivision that was, well, has begun. And so the water came up much closer, and my neighbor's house, it came up into his garage, but the water that's getting diverted was flowing up the side of my property, matching up behind, Little Bayou Castine runs behind, and Little Bayou Castine has never overflowed up onto this area. Now, it wasn't there for Katrina, but it has not flowed up. It flew up in the backyard, and it was flowing, but there was a difference in the amount of water, and we do have pictures. And I just ask you to please consider this before it would get into houses. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bert Schoenberger.
Good afternoon. I'm Bert Schoenberger. I live at 439 Vireo Drive in Marigny Trace. I'm the president of the Marigny Trace Homeowners Association. I have a couple things that I'd like to bring to your attention and get entered into the record about this. There's an agreement between the Marigny Trace Property Owners Association and some residents there about what the developer would do in that 10-foot green space. They were to plant some fast-growing shrubbery. That shrubbery has not been planted at this point. There are 8 drainage catch basins along that eastern border between the 2 subdivisions. On Sunday, I walked back through there. There's been bales put in to do stormwater retention issues. However, 3 of those catch basins are still above the ground that they are supposed to be able to drain between 2 and 3 inches. This has been masked by those bales of hay that are put in there and staked. I'd ask that you have somebody take a look at that and check it and make sure that that drainage is taken care of. Monteir and Hazel, there's a ditch created by the parish to either install a new pipe or replace one that was there. We've been assured since May of this year, when we became effective as the new board there, that this would be asphalted and permanently repaired. It takes anywhere from a week to 10 days to even get gravel put in it to make sure that it's safe for the traffic in that area. We ask that before you sign off on this today, that you instruct the parish to take care of their business and blacktop that ditch so that somebody doesn't get hurt or an accident occur. The patching of the potholes on Monteir was another item. The parish superintendent or supervisor of the barn came out, looked me up in my home, and asked me to go back there and visit these areas with him. During that conversation, he assured me that there would be cold patch used to fix these potholes, and good chance that they'd be done the next day. Well, that was 2 weeks ago. He also assured me that the ditch would be blacktopped as soon as it got dry enough to use hot top asphalt. Well, we've had quite a bit of semi-dry weather, and there are other streets here in the parish, Sharp Road is a good example of this, that there's blacktopping going on all the time. Don't understand why there's such an issue about getting some asphalt out there and taking care of this patch. The rework of Monteir, Hazel, and Tanninger intersection, we respectfully request that you all make sure this is taken care of before homes get started. We have residents from the association there that constantly, as concrete trucks and large construction vehicles come in, turn in their yard. During the site preparation work, the developer actually had to put in additional piping and put some matting in the ditch there to allow these concrete trucks to turn. There's no reason to believe they're not going to have to do that when they start building houses. We need this issue resolved, not postponed, before you give them permission to sell and build homes in that. The other item is I heard comments about the stormwater protection along the boundary between Marigny Trace and the new subdivision. Unless something's changed since Sunday, and it could have, I wasn't out there today, there was sections along the southeastern border that did have silt fence right up against the wall to protect the water from going into those people's yards. However, from that point, basically maybe 150 feet down through there, all the way to the where it goes into the little Bayou Castine drainage ditch, there's no silt fence. What silt fence is laid out there is buried in dirt. And my understanding and experience with stormwater protection is you have to have 70% vegetation regrowth before you can sign off on something like that. If I'm mistaken on that, as I said, I haven't been out there since Sunday, and I trust the parish and the inspectors to be taking care of this. So respectfully, we ask that you make sure all these items are taken care of before you approve their final permit. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Tyler Abity.
I have some packets to pass out if staff would be kind enough to share. I only brought 8. We have a DSG policy at work, so I hope y'all don't mind sharing through the cubicles. And if the commission wouldn't mind, I was expecting about a 5.5-minute talk, if y'all would be gracious enough to grant me 2 extra minutes.
We'll see how it goes.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Tyler Abbey. I live at 1742 Hazel Drive in Mandeville. I want to start by expressing my appreciation for the opportunity to speak before the commission and the parish representatives regarding the Copper Ridge subdivision. I tried to speak last meeting, but obviously the vote was postponed. I do support the subdivision. However, I'm here to ask the commission once again postpone the approval of the Copper Ridge subdivision and include additional requirements vital to public safety and the protection of private property. I hope you'll be patient with me over the next 4 to 5 minutes as I recap the last 29 months and I try to articulate the ongoing concerns and issues that have arisen. I've been diligently working as a private resident to ensure that the development was constructed honestly, with adherence to code, standards, practices set forth by the state, parish, and industry. However, over these last 29 months, it has been a battle to hold individuals accountable to simply do the right thing. To be honest, I'm exhausted as a resident and retelling the same course of events over and over, and disappointed having to navigate shortcuts, a lack of information, a lack of transparency, and responsiveness from parish officials. The only point of consistency was the professional candor and communication by the developer's attorney, Paul, who acted as best he could to address issues as they did occur, but unfortunately, this often followed documented incidents via video or photos, endangering the lives and properties of residents at the intersection. I'm here today asking for help. I'm asking the commission to exercise its intended purpose, and I'm hoping that my strong opinions were simply a large, drawn-out misunderstanding due to COVID-19 and several administration transitions. I first spoke in front of this commission in April of 19, voicing opposition to the approval due to serious concerns over drainage, traffic, and the state of the road and intersection. During that meeting, one commissioner, Mr. Jimmy Davis, voted against the approval, understanding, obviously it's his district, that the area is a major problem. However, it was recommended by the commission that further dialogue would occur between the engineering office, local residents, and the developer to ensure proper studies were performed and made available to all the residents. This did not occur. To date, not only have studies regarding drainage, hydrology, or traffic not been made available after 27 requests that have been documented via email and telephone, but also permit requests by the developer were not provided. Only the Corps of Engineers permit was identified through their normal notification systems because of the NWI implications of the National Wetland Inventory. You'll find in the packets I provided today only a portion of the recorded emails and phone calls asking to speak with the parish about concerns, to which most were never replied, or approximately 90%. Councilman Davis helped as much as he could, but often the conclusion ended with no follow-up, no written action, and no communication with any residents. Mr. Reynolds, who recently reached out, was kind enough to spend time with me to discuss the current status. I do appreciate his professionalism in the engineering department. However, this has been 29 months and little action has occurred. We still do not have follow-ups, including recent questioning around significant localized flooding following a moderate rainfall event. The area has taken on water 3 to 4 times the normal amount of a similar rainfall intensity documented in 2019 and 2020. You'll see calculations of a simple rationale method for post and pre-development drainage, and those figures are actually magnified and shown an example by the photo in the last page of your packet. I've since emailed the parish 3 times following the July 4th email presented to you in the packet, and I've only recently had a small conversation with Mr. Reynolds, but we were not able to cover all of the topics. In my opinion, the following concerns are still outstanding or require some question by the commission on why this was brought to final approval in the first place. Category 1, hydrology, erosion, and site drainage. The developer installed culverts and pipe sizes that were smaller than those approved by the parish. No study was provided after numerous requests. At what point can the public request information from the parish? Drains were installed in areas that were not approved by the parish along lot 24. Significant runoff sedimentation entered the adjacent drainage ditches and outlets to Bayou Castine. There are photos of this within the packet. This outlet needs to be cleaned. It's a direct construction impact prior to the installation of erosion control. Engineering comments indicated siltation on yard drains. This is prevalent throughout the entire property, as is zero slope gravity drains that were installed. Erosion continues to occur since construction. There needs to be a long-term solution. This soil and design will not last seasonal storm periods in this area, and it's my understanding this will be maintained by the parish. It's now going to be the parish's problem.
Let me interrupt you.
Yes, sir.
Just a moment. About how much longer?
If you can just give me 3 minutes, if you don't mind, please.
Commissioners? Okay.
The developer's contractor dumped mud and concrete residual from equipment into ditches along Hazel. We've had significant troughs under road condition that have deteriorated the surface grade. I'm confident the parish has pre and post pictures. Regarding category 3, the intersection, Hazel Drive is not wide enough for 2 vehicles to turn opposite, yet alone a school bus, garbage truck, or emergency vehicle. As shown in the PowerPoint, you needed an additional 10 feet of road width just for vehicles to turn during construction. We had 4 separate incidents that occurred. We had 2 signs struck, we had a truck fall into a ditch, private property was struck, and we had a near miss of a child and a woman on the sidewalk when the truck was turning. This video was submitted to the developer's attorney. Stop signs are past the point of intersection. I know one was moved. It was not notified as a control point being moved, and it's in the wrong spot, as the attorney indicated. There's blind spots at the intersection, and the 3 streets meet at a non-perpendicular or non-parallel trajectory. This is a major no-no in traffic design, and certainly with 6 children living at the house or a house away from the intersection, this is an issue. Drainage and traffic studies were not made available, and the LDEQ permits or stormwater discharge permits were not made available as requested. Samples were taken of the runoff. There were extremely elevated levels of total suspended solids or TSSs, negatively affecting the wetlands and watersheds downstream. The water itself for several rainstorms was murkier than the Mississippi River. We collectively have a responsibility to ensure that the community is planned properly. The civic situation by the residents and the response has been prudent and responsible, but that has not been reciprocated by the government. If it was occurring, it was never translated. I urge you to use your authority to ensure that honest people do honest work. At some point, if left unaddressed, properties will be affected. There may be an accident, an injury, or even a death. And when that occurs, who will be held responsible? At what point do we recognize this as negligence? And both leaders and engineers have a responsibility for public safety. The engineers and developers in particular for upstream and downstream effects of their development. We have a 29-month paper trail and record of warnings unanswered and unresponded to by the parish and some by the developer. I thank you very much for your time. Again, I want to compliment the developer's attorney for his cordialness and for the administrative record. I am a registered professional engineer with a focus in civil engineering, hydrology, hydraulics, and facility planning. I'm also a lead agent for 2 federal NEPA reviews and a registered map amender for FEMA. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we'll go to rebuttal.
Thank you, Mr. Daugherty, members of the commission. First, let me state that we certainly did our level best throughout this process to communicate with all of the residents when we fielded calls or emails. When I did my very best to respond to each one of those. I believe I did respond to each one of them, most of the time the same day, certainly within 24 hours. There may have been a time or two where it took me a little bit more to respond, but I responded. Our field crews responded immediately. I had a very good line of communication with our engineer and with our contractor, and if there was an issue or there was a concern, I was able to get to them, ask them to respond, and they did. So we did our very best to keep those lines of communication open and to address any issues that came up when they were brought to our attention. And I feel like we did a good job in doing that, quite frankly. We're here for final, right? We're here for final to determine if this 24-lot subdivision was built in accordance with the plans and specifications that were approved by this commission. I believe that we've done that. There are a lot of complaints that you've heard tonight. A lot of them were on the parish end that are not our issue. Fixing potholes on the streets is no reason to hold up final approval for this subdivision. Paving a ditch area over that the parish is supposed to do is no reason to hold up this development. With regards to the rain event that occurred on July 20th, all I can tell you is that I have worked in my office along the Highway 190 service road since 2003. Never have I had the situation where my staff could not get to the office because the roads were flooded. Never have I seen water flooding into the apartment complex to my south down that service road. All I can tell you, I'm not an engineer, and I can't tell you exactly how much rain fell and where it fell, but I can tell you that was an event that I have not seen in all of those years in this area. I would also tell you that there is nothing that our development did to cause Bayou Castine to back up and run over. That happened irrespective of what our development did and is doing there. We are a very small development. We are the last ones in. It is completely developed around us. And I would respectfully submit to you that what happened on July 20th in this area was in no way a result, nor did we exacerbate what happened in that area as a result of what we've done on our site. With regards to the siltation that Mr. Schoenberger mentioned, all I can tell you is that we were out there today. All of the siltation on those catch basins has been removed. They are functioning. Mr. Burks confirmed for me again as to the elevation of those catch basins. They shot those elevations and have determined that they are at the appropriate level. I again would suggest to you that there is no reason in which to delay final approval. With regards to Hazel Drive and the intersection of Hazel and Montmart, at the time that this project was approved, the councilman at the time, Mr. Groby, had agreed that he would look into that and address that. I've discussed that with Mr. Davis. I know that he has asked, I believe, and Mr. Tissue, Mr. Reynolds can correct me if I'm wrong, but he conveyed to me that he has asked the parish staff to look into what improvements might need to be made at that intersection or along Hazel Street. But those were not requirements of this development for these 24 lots. Those were not part of the requirements of this developer. We have urged Mr. Groby before and Mr. Davis since then that the impact fees that are generated by this site, that they should be used in this general area. And we have urged him to approach the administration about using those fees on some of these issues that pre-exist us, but that these funds can be used to help for the benefit of the general area. And we constantly and continuously have suggested that, and we maintain that tonight. We urge that the impact fees for this development, which a little over $20,000 for drainage, $20,000 for traffic roughly, $25,800 for traffic, $26,700 for drainage, that they be used for some of these issues that we're talking about. May I have a few minutes to close, please, Mr. Chairman? Thank you very much. All of that being said, again, to table this case, I would ask rhetorically for what? I mean, there's no work left to be done out there. If there's any questions you have, I'd like the opportunity to try to answer them. I can't send my contractor out there to go do anything else. He has done what he has needed to do other than relocate that one sign. There's just not any more work in the field to be done at this point. We have built it in accordance with the plans. That's what we're here about tonight. And I respectfully ask that you grant final approval. That doesn't mean that some of these issues that were raised don't need to be addressed, but quite frankly, to hold up this final approval or this landowner because of some potholes or because of some paving in a ditch that are not the responsibility of this developer would not be fair, in my opinion, respectfully. And so I ask that you grant final approval subject to your staff's comments. With regards to that line, we would ask that we be able to address that one drain line on that one short area through the private servitude. I'll be happy to discuss or speak about that more if somebody is interested in it. But other than that one change, we would ask for your approval subject to your staff comments. We thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Morone. Okay. Yes, sir. Your turn.
Thank you. During this whole process, the residents did everything the parish requires us to do. We asked for information, we asked for studies, we gave feedback over and over. I have countless documents, emails, photos. We got no response, none. The developer, in my opinion, took shortcuts. There are things on that property that are not done properly. They still don't have a drainage study. Imagine an engineer and a developer going to a property and installing something less than what was approved by the parish. As the Planning and Zoning Commission, how can you approve that? The traffic intersection has already had accidents. If the parish has not yet committed funding, what's stopping the parish from declining that or kicking the can? This is a direct cause and effect relationship. In every development that I've been the engineer of record on, this has never happened. A 29-month paper trail asking for studies, asking for a conversation, asking for information. We did everything we could. We even got attorneys involved, and the parish still did not contact us. Mr. Reynolds contacted us at the very beginning of July. He walked us through the process. We came to the meeting. I sent 3 follow-up emails, 4 follow-up phone calls, and I finally got a reply 7 hours ago. It's just, this is negligent and it's not right. I'm not asking you to decline the subdivision, but you have to stop and do an assessment on what was done. Why are there swales? Why was stuff pulled out? Why is the detention pond eroding? Is it even sized correctly? There's no drainage study on file that's complete. I'm just asking you to do the right thing, keep honest people honest, make sure that the traffic study, the traffic implementations are going to be done, and don't let this be one of those things that gets brushed under the table. It's not right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we've had rebuttal on both sides. I'm going to close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Crawford.
Okay, got a lot to talk about here. I guess my first questions are for staff. Item number 1, the Hazel Drive and Montmart Street intersection improvements need to be completed in accordance with the traffic letter. Chris, what are those improvements stated in that letter?
It was a relocation of the stop sign on Tanninger and Montmart and at Hazel and Montmart to align them with the intersection where it actually runs into each other. They were offset before. One was beyond a driveway, one was before a bend in the road, and to look at trimming some of the bushes on the east side of Hazel Drive to provide proper sight triangles.
Okay, so it's just signage, didn't involve any markings or street widenings or anything like that?
No, sir.
Okay. Let's see. The pond, the as-built pond volume, item number 9, as-built pond volume does not appear to conform to the as-built drainage impact study. And Paul stated that apparently they had a wrong elevation. Are you aware of that correction, that change?
I have not received the updated documents yet of the as-bills to show that. The question there, to expound on that comment, is that in the drainage impact study, the top of bank elevation shown was above what was shown on the as-built drainage plan for the top of bank of the pond.
Okay. Okay, so Paul said it's been fixed and that it was an error in the elevation, I believe, and that's been corrected. So, but you don't know about that yet?
No, sir.
Okay. Item number 10, provide a complete and updated as-built drainage impact study stamped and signed by the engineer. Did we get an original drainage study?
Yes, sir. Prior to issuing a work order for the subdivision, they had an approved drainage study. And during the course of the final as-bills coming through and the revisions, there's been a couple updated drainage impact studies submitted, but they've either missed some appendices or a couple reference documents and kind of getting some information to correspond between the as-built drainage plan and the impact study, kind of like comment number 9. We want a complete updated study with a stamp on it.
Okay. And Mr. Abity made a comment that the installed drainage, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but what I wrote down was the installed drainage was less than the approved design, culvert sizes and things like that. Is that?
I'm not aware of that, sir.
Not aware of that?
It's from the note in the letter.
Okay, let's see. So that was from the
6-inch.
parish notes from the last meeting. Yes. Just bear with me a minute here, and let me take a look and see here. Okay, so, Chris, in the last meeting, on the,
If you'd like me to speak to that, what I believe Mr. Abbott is referencing.
Sure.
And the issue to the comment he's referring to is from the original staff report we put out before this meeting got postponed.
Mhm.
One of our 44 comments was that there was a pipe that was different in size shown on the first as-built submitted than the previously approved paving and drainage plan. That case was postponed, allowing their engineer of record, Sean Burks, to re-provide that as-built plan. He certified in his response back to the parish that there was an error with the survey data that he originally got, and that the pipe was the approved pipe from the originally approved plan was the pipe installed right there.
okay. All right, I found the comment here. So you're saying that that was an error and it was corrected, and the parish accepted that, the correction? Okay. All right. And then the issue about the drain line going through the private servitude, that proposed fix that Paul was mentioning, do staff have a problem with that?
I'd like to discuss that with the parish engineer before I accept or decline
Okay.
Paul's request. I'd like to have it further reviewed with Daniel Hill.
Okay. All right. I have a motion that I'd like to make, but I think I'll postpone for a minute. I see some more people in the queue, so we'll see what they have to say.
You can go ahead and make your motion, I mean.
Well, I think that we should make a motion to postpone. And I don't know if for a month or more than a month, but what's going through my head is there's a whole lot of information here. I know there's a lot at stake here. I know there's a lot in the works. I've talked to the councilman. He's got some street work that he's planning to do. I don't know when and I don't know to what extent, but there is some work that's going to be done. I've heard the concerns of the residents. There may be some temporary things that we could get done to help out. One of the things that I'm concerned about is construction of these lots on these streets, narrow streets and turnarounds and the things that have been pointed out. I certainly understand Paul's side and the developer side that this is not really their problem. This is an existing situation, but it will be part of their problem when the dump trucks and the concrete trucks and all that come through. So some of these things have come up. I've learned a lot about this just in the last week or so talking to Councilman Davis, and I just don't feel real comfortable with approving this or making a motion for approval.
Let me
Pardon?
interrupt you.
Okay.
This, regardless of which way we want to go with this, by the time it goes through the council, what is it, 60 days about to get these, if we approve it, does it take about 60 days for this to get advertised and everything before it gets to the council? Pardon? Okay, all right.
And if I may, I would just like to ask, and Helen, you may be the person that knows this. I'm just looking at, in regards to postponement, section 125, 193 of the ordinances, which requires approval within 60 days. I know this was postponed at the July meeting, and I don't know if that was at the request of the petitioner or of staff. If it was at the request of petitioner, it resets that 60-day clock. If not, we're still dealing with that 60-day clock. So I think that needs to be clarified so that we know whether action needs to be taken tonight or not.
Was the request last month was from, it was from the representative, Mr. Paul Marone.
Okay. I just wanted to make that clarification, but I think that it would still be okay working within that 60-day delay under section 125, 193.
Okay. All right, anything else?
No, and it's not that I want to postpone it. I'd like to, I hate to postpone things. I'd like to move on. But there are some concerns, and I believe there's some things that need to be perhaps investigated, especially what Chris said about the servitude there. So I would make a motion to postpone for a month until
Okay.
next meeting.
Mr. Morone?
May I make one more comment, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
And I'll be very brief. I would urge you all not to postpone this, notwithstanding Mr. Crawford's motion. While this matter does not necessarily go to the council, it does, there is a period of time in which it will take us to go through the process to be able to get the final plats done, to get them submitted, to get them signed, for us to be able to even sell lots before homes could ever even start to be built out there, much less be completed out there. Time is critical to the landowner. It is critical to the landowner. And so I urge you all, if there are issues to be worked out, there is time between when this commission acts and when the final plats are submitted and recorded, for Mr. Tissue to work with the parish engineer on the servitude issue. There are time to work those items out, but I urge you not to table the matter this evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Well, then, and I think I've said this before. It will come to me for the final signature. Okay? It has to go through Chris and their group, goes through, there's two other signatures besides mine. And I feel comfortable, okay? Because if I don't see those signatures, I don't sign them. Bottom line. Now, I understand what Mr. Abady is saying, and I also understand what Mr. Morone is saying. But understand that if those things aren't taken care of, I won't sign them.
Okay.
And at that point in time, there's no buildings that start. They can't pull any permit. Okay? And I just want to, you know, if you want your motion to stand, that's fine.
Go ahead, Mr. Aberdeen.
Thank you. When I first spoke before the commission in April of 19, I was assured that it was part of the process. The plots had not been developed, the studies weren't developed, and there'd be a dialogue with the residents, the parish, and the developer. And I feel like this is getting to that same point where it's, oh, I'll take care of it, it'll be okay. And I'm not discounting anything that you're saying, Chairman, but the entire time, 29 months, we've had no feedback. We've had no discussion.
Well, understand too, that we've had something, what's the name of it, COVID? Okay, and there's been a lot of staff that was off and couldn't do their job because the work was there to be done, but they were on furlough and it couldn't be done. I mean, you know.
But we
there
also
was-
had April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, January, February before COVID. So I appreciate, let's call out 14 months, still got 15. I could have got 2 Corps of Engineers permits done in that time. It was a lack of accountability, and I just feel like it would be an honest thing to do, just to say, hey, let's slow down, look at it, postpone it, make sure the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, because someone will get hurt at this intersection.
I will assure you that Mr. Tissue and his group will look at this, and if it's not right, they won't sign off on it. Okay? And they will be in touch with Mr. Morone or Mr. Burke.
I urge the rest of the commission to at least look at my notes and please use your good judgment. Thank you.
All right?
So I'll continue. In light of everything that's said, I believe that I will continue my motion. We'll see if we get
Okay.
a second or not. And
We-
Paul,
okay.
I certainly understand what you're saying, and I understand time is of the essence, but I'll let my motion stand.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Crawford to postpone for 1 month. Okay. Commissioner Ress.
So if I'd have voted on this last month, you'd have got all you wanted for a postponement, because I went in there and it was, if it drained at all, I'd have been surprised, okay? I also went back there yesterday and I saw that some of the work has been done around the pond and stuff. Some of it I can't make a judgment on, but I looked at the fence area on the south side a little bit. I think drainage is, and that road entrance are the two issues that really deserve a lot of attention, but I don't know that we're so far down the road. I don't know how we got this far. I just, that road seems like the houses that are along Hazel right now should have been on the other side, and the road should have been further away from that little bend. That bend, that's just it's horrible setup coming around there. And that stop sign that was moved, I saw that the last time I was there in July. It was in the wrong place, there's no doubt. But they did move it. I noticed when I was there yesterday that it got moved. Drainage, you know, a lot of things have been done. I saw the fresh bales. I mean, there's things have been done. There's no doubt somebody's been in there since July. But I think it is critical for where this place is located that everything is right and that staff has looked at everything. Finally, it sounds like we still got a couple unanswered questions even by staff and on this one drainage line. I think it's so critical that I kind of agree with Mr. Crawford that a postponement for another, and I don't like it either because I'll be honest with you, this has been waiting for a long time. But I agree that I'm not sure we're there, and I think that the drainage, I don't think there's much going to happen with it's the parish potholes. That's a whole nother issue. I've been down that path myself. That's a separate thing. Your councilman has got to help you with that. If he doesn't help you, you have no help, for the most part, okay? He can make things happen for you. The turning in and out of there with big trucks is probably gonna be a problem. I don't disagree with you, and you can see in those pictures you applied. I think you've done an outstanding job of documenting what you've tried to communicate. Why you didn't get response, I don't know. I can't even explain that nobody would respond to you. A lot of times the councilman can get information like that for you, but it didn't happen. Doesn't matter at this point. But I still agree the 1 month postponement to make sure that it's right is appropriate also. So I second the motion.
Okay, we got a second by Commissioner Ress. Commissioner Barcelona.
A question for Chris. Chris, at this stage in the process, isn't there always going to be a punch list? Is that typical on these projects?
Yes, sir. I would say it's been pretty consistent. We've had a punch list since I've started coming
Okay,
to
so
planning commission
that's,
meetings.
so the developer is basically asked, he's saying that this development is substantially complete. That's the way I understand it. So you inspected the site and developed a list of punch list items, which is very typical when it comes to a substantial completion. I mean, you're always gonna have a punch list. So the developer's saying that most of these items have been addressed. Is that correct? That's what I heard earlier.
That's also what I heard.
So, and there's an approved drainage study. You mentioned that earlier.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So he's saying that most of these items have been addressed. And I didn't see anything about the turning radius and issues with that. That wasn't in your list of comments.
In regards to the turning radiuses, I know Councilman Davis is looking at a minimum widening out the turning radiuses. He's working with Public Works to do that. The pothole, we spoke with Jay Watson, who's the Director of Public Works today, and it should be the next week or two, they get the asphalt crew out there to patch that up.
Right. Are those issues related to this development?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I mean, it's
So-
kind of things that were brought to Parish's attention.
So those
during the
issues are
course of
not in
development.
this list of comments?
No, sir,
It's
it's
not
not.
considered a punch list for the substantial completion?
No,
For
the onus of that is not on the developer.
Okay, so that has nothing to do with this development. As far as, so assuming that most of these punch list items have been corrected, there's gonna be a few items left related to the drainage impact study. I don't know if you consider these to be minor or major items, but it seems to me that if these remaining few items are addressed, that they'll be in compliance with your drainage study, with the drainage study that was submitted for the project, and they'll be in compliance with all parish requirements.
Yes, sir. That point, they would be ordinance.
Okay, so is there time, I mean, so for these few items that are left, I mean, is it possible to address these items and satisfy all the requirements before the plats are signed? I think there is enough time.
Every one of these items will be addressed prior to the plats even being routed for signatures.
So there's always a punch list, there's always gonna be a punch list that's, you know, that has to be addressed before the plats are signed at this stage. It's always, right? Whether, I mean, so, I just wanted to confirm that, I just wanted to talk it out with you and make sure I understand.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Willie?
Yeah, someone mentioned about a elevated catch basin in the green space, and it wasn't catching water. But then I think I heard Paul say that Sean said everything was shot to grade. Has that been taken care of, or what? That's what, yeah, I think it's the guy in this shirt.
Yeah, the guy in the shirt. The catch basins, there are 3 of them.
Come to the microphone.
There are 3 catch basins out of those 8. That the way the bales of hay are positioned, they butt up against the top of the concrete. I have no doubt that they shot the concrete and it's at the elevation that it's supposed to be, but it's not at the elevation to drain the ground. And if you took those bales of hay away, there is no way that water can get into those 3 catch basins, and that water will propagate itself on over into the other adjoining property.
Okay, with that said, I would like to see Paul or Sean respond to that, so.
As far as the top of castings, we were able to shoot those, and those all matched up to grade. If there's some dirt right around the area right there, that would be a matter of just some minor, throw some dirt around the edge. That's something we can confirm before we get the plat signed. That's not
Okay.
major work whatsoever. So I'd be happy to meet with the gentleman out the site or Chris Tissue out at the site to go over that, to make sure. But as far as the grades that the catch basins were shot, they all matched up with design.
Okay.
So I think that's okay. If there's a little dirt work right around it, it's minor, but it can be done pretty quickly.
Well, as long as the grade catches the water, that's the main thing we need to get done, so.
Sure.
So maybe, yeah, thank you.
Commissioner Fitzmaurice?
Paul, I have a question for you. From what I've heard, and just to be clear, and I think that Chris has answered it, maybe Paul touched on it more, some of the complaints of the residents, they're not part of this subdivision, or they're not part of this phase of the subdivision. Right?
Correct.
The culvert, the potholes. So there's no way this developer should be held accountable. But I think I did hear you mention, given the impact fees and the encouragement that you've offered to the council member in the area, that those funds should be used in the balance of this subdivision to fix those issues.
We believe so, yes. I'd like to answer your question. A number of the issues raised tonight not only don't relate to, have nothing to do with this development or this punch list or anything the developer is supposed to do. But you're correct, and I have conveyed that to Mr. Abity as well, that we support the idea that these impact fees of about $50,000 should be used in this area. We hope that Mr. Davis will have the opportunity to use those to be able to address some of these off-site issues that don't have anything directly to do with us.
Gotcha.
That's got to come through the administration.
You'd have to go through the administration to be able to do that, yes.
But I too, we can talk to Jimmy and encourage him to keep the money in his area. I mean, it only makes sense. Chris, if, in somewhat of a hypothetical nature, if these items are complete, as Mr. Maroon said, and I believe him to say that he's honest with us, obviously he's here a lot, would you be comfortable with it? I mean, I think the only item that needs to be addressed is the private servitude issue, if everything else has been taken care of. And that's something you said you wanted to work with the other engineers to discuss. And then you wouldn't sign a plat until that matter was resolved. You agree?
So, yeah, we'd go do an inspection, make sure these items were addressed and that they're acceptable. In regards to the item 4, I do want to speak with the parish engineer about that before
you would sign the plat.
Sign off on that. And then, yeah, once all these items were addressed, it would meet ordinances and conform to the plans at that point.
Right, so the assurity is all these items have to be taken care of before anything's signed.
Correct.
Thank you.
Commissioner McInnes.
Yes, I feel that one of my pet peeves has come up again, and that is on every punch list, it's about controlling siltation and putting out seed so we have a mature stand of vegetation. And I know that the rule is 70% should be covered at all times during construction. But it seems like at the end, we still have that. And until we enforce it and say, nope, you don't have 70% vegetation mature, we need to postpone until you do have it. Otherwise, I just don't feel like there's enough incentive for it to occur. I know there's going to be areas and it's difficult, but it just seems that this is not taken seriously. I've seen many developments in St. Tammany, and the ditches are murky, and there's a lot of erosion and siltation coming off these subdivisions. And and throwing a few hay bales out is not a very effective way to control it. And I really do feel that we need to take it more seriously than we're taking it. And I'm pretty concerned about some of these photographs, particularly the one that Mr. Abity handed out with the street entirely flooded. And I'm trying to imagine that subdivision developed out, and all the homeowners, they're going to be contacting the parish to say, do something. And it's a brand-new subdivision. So it just seems that we need to be sure that we've addressed all the issues, so this will be a good and safe subdivision that doesn't jeopardize the neighbors either. I don't know, I mean, I know you guys work extremely hard, but is there a way, Chris, that y'all could meet with the neighborhood and just be sure that all of the issues and concerns are addressed, or is that what you feel you're doing all along? This is a lot of data. It seems like it's going to take some time to just look at it. Maybe not for you, it would be for me to go through all this great information that has been put together to make sure we're doing right by the neighborhood and not rush into putting homes in before we make sure, as someone said, cross the T's and dotted the I's.
All right, well, let me address a couple of those comments that you made.
Sure.
So in regards to the siltation, when we did our inspection, the majority of the site had fresh wattles in front of the catch basins. They had fresh hay bales around most of the drop inlets within the green spaces. The only areas that had significant siltation were on the east property line. And our discussion with the contractor who was working on the site at the time and had not completed his work was that he's going to be utilizing some of the material to regrade it and cut a swale through it along the catch basins. We haven't had a chance to go back out and re-inspect. They were also working on cutting the ditch and removing the catch basins on the south side. And so there was not a whole lot of siltation issues on this one when I went out there. They had just updated. We put these comments typically in here regarding the siltation. So number 2, there's little 6-inch drains that they attached to some of these catch basins where they were high. And that was predominantly on the south side because they didn't have enough clearance for the size pipe that was going in there. So they pulled all that pipe out and they dug a ditch instead. And that was proposed by their engineer. We reviewed it and approved it as part of the as-built drainage plan now. Talking about the road flooding. You're not seeing us, that road that's flooded is not in the subdivision. That road that's flooded is Tanninger Drive. That's an existing condition that's been pre-existing long before this subdivision even came through for preliminary approval. That's a result of Bayou Castine backing up into that drainage system. There's an outfall pipe from the 3 inlets right there. They get drains directly into Bayou Castine. When it backs up into that portion at Tanninger. If you drive out there, if you go from Montmart to Tanninger, it drops about 2 feet from the intersection of Montmart and Hazel down into Tanninger. There's a low spot right there where it was something that's a pre-existing condition. The cross culvert that we're looking to get asphalted back, that was crushed before the development ever came through for preliminary approval or tentative approval. Coming through, that was one of the things that the constituents requested, was to have that cross culvert pulled and replaced. That's been done. They pulled it. Now, should they have asphalted by now? Yes, they absolutely should have been out there and asphalted it. Not my department. We put the request in, and hopefully Public Works is supposed to get out there in the next week or 2 to finally finalize that and get it done. As far as, in all due respect to Mr. Abady and being able to get back with him, I met with Mr. Schoenberger on site multiple times, along with Councilman Davis. I know Jay Watson had been in touch with some of the residents regarding this development, along with Mr. Davis, or Councilman Davis. So, do you have any other questions regarding this?
Maybe in the future, you could give us an idea of what percent's vegetated in your comments, because I can't tell.
Without it, we can do that for you.
I can't tell. And it needs to be taken seriously. And so you feel that even though it's flooding outside the neighborhood, the access in and out of this new subdivision is not impaired?
No, ma'am. The access to the subdivision is not impaired, but the access to some of those lots in Tanninger that are existing, these already built homes, is. That's also part of the reason that, so Little Bayou Castine has a grant-funded pond being installed further upstream from Maroney Trace. And that's in the process of going through all the grant funding. It just takes a really long time for the grant funding to come through. This is going adjacent to the development Kingswood, which you guys should be familiar with. That's kind of come through a little while ago. And they're going to be putting a pond adjacent to that that's also upstream of Maroney Trace as part of their development.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Barcelona.
Chris, just one last thing, I promise. So just to make it clear, before any houses can be built, these remaining punch list items need to be addressed. You need to be satisfied with it, and the plats have to be signed.
That's correct. So before they can sell a lot to a builder, this list has to be done, the plat has to be signed. Right now, it's one parcel. It's not individual lots yet. The plat you see with the 24 lots does not exist until we record the plat. That's the whole act of going through the major subdivision process.
Okay, so at the time that the plats are signed, at that point, the project should be compliant with all parish requirements as far as we can tell based on inspections and, you know, reviewing the plans and all that stuff, so.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And at that point, we also will do a 2-year warranty for this one, which we established as part of the staff report analysis tonight, as one of the functions of coming to final approval with the subdivisions, as that's what's required by ordinance.
Okay, all right, great, thank you.
All right, Commissioner Ress.
One last thing. Hey, is the 70% a requirement?
I believe that is correct.
Okay.
I
would
believe that is correct. Is it
I would
70% requirement,
venture to
or if
say-
you're complete it for 2 weeks, it's supposed to be vegetated.
I would
They had a lot
venture
of
to-
milo planted along the back of the curb within the 10 feet, and also along some of the other areas.
I mean, I don't know if it's 70% or not. When I went in there a month ago, there's a couple things that I did like in particular, because it is all culverted subsurface drainage versus ditches for a change. So I did like that. And it did have nice green grass growing at least 10 foot away from the curb on each side. The lots themselves, pretty bare, other than the ones that are still wooded. And there are some that are wooded. It might be 70% at the end. There's a lot of dirt out there, I can tell you that. And there was a lot of buildup of mud and siltation back in July. Not so much now. It's cleaned up. I guess to a point, you know, I seconded the postponement because I do feel like, I don't know if we failed the residents or not. As I listened to all the story, I don't know, you know, what Mr. Abity did as far as trying. It sure sounded to me like we didn't get through to them, you know, and didn't share information. And after several years, and I've been on that side, and if you've ever been on that side and you feel like nobody listens to you the whole way, it's very uncomfortable. And you just feel like it's not right. Is that the fault of the developer? Probably not. That he didn't get answered. You know, I think whether we have the responsibilities, COVID is a big deal, but 2 years is a long time not to get answered. So if nothing else, I'm going to pull my request for the second on the postponement. But I really hope we message through that citizens need to be replied to. They need to be answered to the best of our ability. And I'm just not convinced we've done that in this case. At least I could think if you asked Mr. Abity that, he'd say no. Whether the developer, and if the developers make the citizens unhappy, that makes me unhappy. You know, I'm wanting it to be a joint effort that everybody thinks this is worthwhile, and I just don't feel we did that very well here. And but I am going to pull my second on the postponement.
Okay. Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
Seeing the withdrawal of the second, I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fitzmaurice to approve since we didn't have a second on the motion to postpone. Commissioner Barcelona.
I'll second the approval, subject to addressing the comments.
Okay. You don't want to speak? Okay, all right. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve. And everybody understands that nothing's going to happen until staff gets everything in order, the developer gets everything in order, and all the potential, or all the questions that have been raised tonight get answered. You comfortable with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. With that said, please vote.
Motion to approve carries.
Thank you. All right, we have no old business. We have no new business. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Thank you. Uh-huh. Yeah.
I'm telling you now, I'm not coming back.
You're not coming?